Chapter 545. Wang Lin walked through the air. His long hair flowed behind him, and he looked like a demon god. There was a hint of ruthlessness in his cold eyes. After the seventh collapse, he was only 50 feet away from the general of the left wing. The general of the left wing had a serious expression as he looked at Wang Lin. At this moment, the eighth collapse was like a raging flood that came out of the void and merged with the world. The eighth collapse was unprecedentedly powerful. It turned from the void into something tangible and rushed over like a real flood. Wang Lin was surrounded by demonic energy and his eyes lit up. Facing the eighth collapse, he took a step forward. The moment his body collided with the eighth collapse, the demonic flames around Wang Lin's body burned and turned into a ray of demonic energy. It was as if the world was filled with demonic energy. The eighth collapse didn't scatter, but the ninth collapse appeared without a sound. Wang Lin slightly frowned. Although he had turned into a demon and gained the will of a demon, his Tao heart was still firm and wasn't affected at all. However, as his belief in becoming a demon deepened, his Tao heart would inevitably be affected. Wang Lin was very familiar with the drawbacks of entering the demonic path. At this moment, the eighth collapse and ninth collapse arrived at the same time. Wang Lin weighed the pros and cons in his heart and immediately made a decision. He looked at the general of the left wing. At this moment, he was only 30 feet away. Letting out a sigh, Wang Lin didn't advance but retreated. He retreated like lightning and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was 10,000 feet away. The general of the left wing was startled. His eyes lit up and he laughed. "You know when to advance and when to retreat. Good." As he spoke, his right hand clawed at the air in front of him. A rumbling sound echoed in the air, as the 10 collapse fist intent immediately dissipated. The world seemed to have returned to normal at that moment. "Although you haven't broken my 10 collapses, with your strength, you are qualified to be a commander. I, Yunlihai, appoint you as the commander of Lucky Demon City and give you control of 10,000 demon soldiers." As the general of the left wing spoke, his right hand reached out and a bronze token appeared. He threw it at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he caught the token and clasped his hands. "Thank you, General. Rest in the city for now. In 7 days, someone will take you to your camp." Yunlihai looked at Wang Lin with a look of admiration. His body moved and disappeared without a trace. After witnessing all of this, Yao Shishua saw the general of the left wing leave. She was about to say something, but Wang Lin didn't even look at her and walked away. Yao Shishua frowned. She let out a snort and left. Wang Lin's pace wasn't fast as he walked into the distance. As he walked, his demonic intent gradually calmed down. This place was the center of ancient Demon City. Half an hour later, what appeared before Wang Lin were lively streets and pavilions. Inside an inn, Wang Lin was sitting in the lotus position and quietly cultivating. He had been sitting there for 4 days and 4 nights. His hair gradually retracted, no longer looking any different from before. After becoming a demon, although the power of his techniques had multiplied, reaching an extremely powerful level, the side effects were also extremely harmful. Wang Lin's Tao wasn't the demonic Tao, so after becoming demonic, his body was filled with demonic intent. This didn't match his Tao heart, and once his Tao heart was affected by the demonic intent, Wang Lin knew that he would completely become a demonic cultivator. Because his Tao heart didn't match, his mind would also be affected by the demonic intent. From then on, he would become a devil without any sanity to speak of. Unless he wholeheartedly became demonic like Situnan, only then would he be able to maintain his sanity. With Wang Lin's intelligence, he naturally wouldn't make this mistake. Before, when he entered the demonic state, he had been calculating how long it would take for him to enter the demonic state. How to use the power of the demonic state while still maintaining his Tao heart was the first thing he considered. That was why when the 8th and 9th collapses arrived, he decisively chose to retreat. It wasn't that he couldn't fight, but if he continued, his Tao heart would be affected. Also, one of the reasons Wang Lin chose to join the demonic path wasn't only because of his comprehension of faith, but also because he wanted to get an outer position. Now that he had shown his strength, even if he didn't pass the 8th collapse, he believed that the general of the left wing wouldn't just give him an inner elder position. If this Yunlihai was really this blind, then Wang Lin had already decided to leave ancient Demon City and return to the wild, desolate continent. At most, in a few years, he would directly take down ancient Demon City. After staying at the inn for 4 days and 4 nights, Wang Lin finally compressed the demonic intent into a point and sealed it inside his body. This demonic intent couldn't be removed, and Wang Lin didn't plan on removing it. If he used the demonic intent well, it could increase his power by a lot. Shi San and Hu Pao arrived at the inn one day and lived next to Wang Lin's room. The reason the two of them were able to find this place was because of Wang Lin's divine sense summoning them. After several days of cultivating, Wang Lin walked out of the inn on the 5th day. Shi San and Hu Pao quickly followed behind him. Walking through the streets of ancient Demon City, Wang Lin felt like he was in another world. Everything here was very different from the outside world, whether it was the buildings or the surrounding environment. This East Demon Spirit Sea has its own world, and it is very mysterious. I just don't know how this place was formed. Could it really be the rumor that before the celestial realm shattered, there was a powerful celestial emperor's cave? Wang Lin felt a bit of disbelief. If the rumor was true, then the celestial emperor's cultivation was unimaginable. To be able to make his own cave the size of a world was simply too shocking. Although it's just a rumor, it's not without reason. If it really is a celestial emperor's cave, then why did the celestial emperor create a world inside his cave? So why are there so many locals? As Wang Lin walked on the street, he began to ponder. Could it be? Wang Lin's expression changed, and he thought of an absurd answer. When he was young, in his village, his neighbors would often use fences to divide up a piece of land and raise some livestock. Wang Lin looked at the world before him and then looked up at the sky. He suddenly had the illusion that he was inside the fences and the locals around him were the livestock. Wang Lin shook his head and bitterly smiled. He thought he was thinking too much, but this speculation still lingered in his heart. Shi San and Hu Pao followed behind Wang Lin. Shi San's expression was cold, and his gaze always lingered around Wang Lin. If there was anyone suspicious, he would immediately attack. As for Hu Pao, he did not think too much about it. His gaze always stopped at the pavilions and stalls. His eyes would occasionally reveal a strange light. It was clear that he had seen something he liked. Wang Lin had no interest in anything in Lucky Demon City. After wandering for 4 hours, he saw a restaurant with an endless stream of people coming and going. Ever since he started cultivating, Wang Lin had gradually lost his desire for the food of mortals. He had reached the stage where he could not eat. All day long, he only needed to breathe to satisfy his body's need. If it was just food, it would not be enough to arouse Wang Lin's interest. However, there was a huge wine jar outside the restaurant. This wine jar was about 10 feet wide and 6 feet tall. There were a few ladders around it, and some waiters stepped on the ladders and used huge ladles to scoop out the wine. Seeing this wine jar, Wang Lin stopped and looked up at the name of the restaurant. Green Bamboo House. On the 2 sides of the curtains of the Green Bamboo House, there was a couplet. The fragrance of bamboo and orchid welcomes the ancient guest. The fragrance of green plum and chrysanthemum sends off the immortal lord. Wang Lin looked at it with great interest. At this time, the receptionist standing at the door hurriedly took a few steps forward and said with a smile, "Dear guest, this small restaurant's green bamboo wine is a famous wine in the 9 counties. Why don't you come in and have a taste? Today is the opening of a new jar." The owner said that if you can drink 10 small jars without getting drunk, all the money for the wine will be free. This is a rare opportunity. If I were you, I would definitely come in and have a taste. The receptionist's eyesight was very good. Although he could not see that Wang Lin was extraordinary, he could see that Shi San and Hu Pao behind him were not simple. These two were clearly guards, so the person in front of them must be someone of great status. Wang Lin found the receptionist's words interesting. He smiled and said, "Then let's have a taste of this green bamboo wine and see what's so special about it." With that, he walked into the restaurant. Shi San and Hu Pao immediately followed him in. The restaurant's environment was elegant and the size was moderate. At this moment, there were many customers talking and laughing. When Wang Lin and the other two entered, the receptionist walked a few steps forward and shouted, "Dear guests." As soon as he said this, a waiter came forward and said with a smile, "Dear guests, please come in. There is an upper table by the window. Please follow me." With that, he led the way to a table by the window and used the towel on his shoulder to clean it. Wang Lin sat down. Shi San and Hu Pao hesitated for a moment, but when they saw Wang Lin nod, they sat across from him. "What would you like to eat?" The waiter had good eyesight and asked Wang Lin. "Bring up 3 small jars of your green bamboo wine." Wang Lin said gently, "All right." The waiter put the towel on his shoulder and turned to leave. After a while, he returned with 3 jars of wine and some wine cup. Shi San hurriedly picked up the wine jar and shook off the mud on the jar. He poured a cup for Wang Lin, but he did not drink it himself. Hu Pao swallowed a mouthful of saliva. When he saw that Shi San did not drink, it was not convenient for him to drink either. He could not help but mutter in his heart, but he did not show any of it on his face. Wang Lin picked up the wine cup and took a sip. A long-lost taste involuntarily surged into his heart. In his life, Wang Lin had only drunk one kind of wine, and that was the wine that Dainia's ancestors left behind when Suzaku turned into a mortal. In those decades, Dainia would often bring fine wine, and gradually Wang Lin was filled with nostalgia for that wine. Time has changed. I wonder if Suzaku is at peace now. Dainyu is a mortal, and time is merciless. I'm afraid he has long become yellow soil. His descendants should still be alive. Wang Lin held the wine cup, his eyes filled with reminiscence. Chapter 546. The dozens of years he spent turning into a mortal were the most peaceful period of his life, and it was also a period of time when his cultivation level rose. Although it had been many years, everything he experienced had never disappeared from his mind. Thinking about Dainyu, Wang Lin let out a sigh and drank the wine in his hand. This wine was mellow, and although it was a bit spicy, the aftertaste was endless. It was very similar to the wine that Dainia gave him. Shi San was still silent. He could see that Wang Lin seemed to have something on his mind. The only thing he could do was fill up Wang Lin's cup when it was empty. Hu Pao endured for a long time and swallowed a large mouthful of saliva. In the end, he couldn't hold it in anymore. He secretly looked at Wang Lin and quietly picked up a jar of wine. He crushed the jar and quickly poured himself a cup. He drank it in one gulp and immediately became spirited. He was about to pour another cup when he noticed that Shi San was coldly looking at him. Hu Pao's expression was filled with grievance. He thought, the ancestor didn't say anything when I drank some wine, so why is Shi San meddling in other people's business? Although he thought this in his heart, he didn't show it on his face. Wang Lin poured cup after cup of wine in his hand. The reminiscence in his eyes became even stronger as the scenes from when he was on Suzaku flashed through his mind. He suddenly had a very strong urge to leave the demon spirit land, leave planet Tianyun, and return to Rosefinch, the place where he was born and raised. This urge became stronger and stronger until it occupied almost all of Wang Lin's mind. The cup in his hand shattered and the shards pierced into his hand. However, at this moment, Wang Lin completely ignored it. His eyes were filled with reminiscence. If a cultivator saw Wang Lin at this moment, they would be shocked. It has to be said that cultivators had to have a firm Tao heart. How could they have such an impulse and reminiscence? San immediately sensed that something was wrong. He jerked his head up and looked at Wang Lin with a hint of anxiety in his eyes. At this moment, Husi also felt that something was wrong. His expression changed, and the degree of anxiety he felt was not the slightest bit inferior to San. At that moment, the sound of armor rubbing against each other could be heard from outside the restaurant, followed by a clamor. Following that, 7 or 8 demon soldiers wearing black armor entered the restaurant. Their expressions were extremely arrogant. As soon as the waiter stepped forward, he was pushed away by one of them and shouted, "Bring out all your best wine and dishes." The waiter was pushed to the ground. After he got up, he immediately smiled apologetically, nodded, and hurriedly left. Inside the restaurant, many customers immediately paid their bills, not daring to stay here any longer. The 7 or 8 armored men immediately gathered a few tables together and sat down. Then, they began to make a ruckus. Amongst these 7 or 8 people, there was one person who sat at the head. He was around 30 years old and had a gloomy face. An invisible pressure was being emitted from his body. After all the wine and dishes were served, he picked up the jar of wine and smashed the jar of mud. Without using a cup, he directly drank the entire jar of wine in one gulp. With a throw of his right hand, the jar of wine landed beside the table where Wang Lin and the other 2 were sitting. With a "pa" sound, it fell to the ground. San's eyes narrowed. He turned around and took a deep breath. Only then did he slowly turn his head back. He did not say anything. Husi also frowned. However, he knew that there was a change in the ancestor, and that it was not the time to cause trouble. Thus, he suppressed his anger. "Lord Commander, don't worry. When that person comes the day after tomorrow, we will join forces and give him a show of strength. We will let him know who the true commander is." One of the black-armored men immediately patted his chest and said loudly, "Have you found out who that person is?" The gloomy man wiped the wine from his mouth and said in a deep voice. Another black-armored man softly said, "It's an outsider. The demon general personally tested him. Apparently, he didn't meet the requirements and was given the position of commander." "Humph." The gloomy man picked up another jar of wine and took a big gulp. "Lord Commander, I will challenge him the day after tomorrow to see how strong he is. According to the rules of our army, if he is weak, then even if the demon general nominates him, it will be useless." "That's right. Why did the demon general demote the commander to vice-commander the moment he arrived and make this person the commander? There is no reason for this. No matter who it is, they will not be able to endure this." "Enough." The gloomy man took another big gulp of wine and said, "I want to see what kind of ability this person has. Outsiders. Even if they are outsiders, there are strong and weak. It's not like there haven't been outsiders who have died under my hands. If this person is strong, then I will use the immortal execution formation." After he said this, all the black-armored demon soldiers around him became silent. The gloomy man frowned and slowly said, "Are you guys afraid?" At this moment, people began to pay their bills and leave the restaurant. Soon, there were only 2 tables left in the restaurant. Aside from the demon soldiers' table, there was also Wang Lin's group of 3. The cup in Wang Lin's hand had already been crushed, but the reminiscence in his eyes became even stronger. Celestial spiritual energy began to spread out from his body. The demonic spiritual energy he had been suppressing inside his body slowly grew and spread. "Ancestor!" San softly called out. The gloomy man at the demon soldier's table let out a snort and said, "If you are afraid, then get the hell out of here." One of the demon soldiers beside him immediately said, "Lord Commander, If we use the immortal execution formation, I'm afraid the demon general will punish us if he finds out. When that time comes, that person will be dead and I will return to my original position. Even if there is punishment, I will take it. None of you have anything to do with it." The gloomy man drank all the wine from the jar in his hand and then threw it away. This time, the wine jar was thrown directly at Wang Lin's table. It was extremely fast and landed in the blink of an eye. Sher San's eyes turned cold and he grabbed the wine jar. At the same time, his expression changed and his body involuntarily moved to the side. The chair he was sitting on collapsed on the spot. Sher San's body took a few steps back. He swallowed the blood in his mouth and stabilized himself. "Get the hell out of here. I'm not in a good mood today. In this hall, only the three of you are blind." The gloomy man immediately shouted. Hu Pao's eyes were cold as he stared at the demon soldiers at the table. He could feel powerful demonic spiritual energy from these people. He estimated that he could easily defeat one of them, but it would be difficult to deal with two. This was especially true for the person who threw the wine jar. This person's demonic spiritual energy had reached a certain level. When Hu Pao's gaze met his, he immediately felt a stabbing pain in his heart and quickly withdrew his gaze. Sher San took a deep breath and put down the wine jar. He walked up to Wang Lin and softly said, "Ancestor." Wang Lin sat there motionlessly as if he didn't hear anything. The gloomy man had been secretly paying attention to Wang Lin the moment he entered the restaurant. This person was a bit strange in his eyes. There seemed to be two forces fighting inside this person's body. The first wine jar was used to test the waters. These two wine jars were even more obvious. When the demon soldiers beside him saw that Wang Lin and company still hadn't left, they immediately became dissatisfied. One of the black-armored demon soldiers suddenly stood up and shouted, "You're courting death." With that, he walked forward and pushed Wang Lin. Sher San stood to the side and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Without a word, he threw out a punch. The demon soldier's reaction wasn't slow. He let out a soft cry of surprise and his hand turned into a fist. The demonic spiritual energy in his body surged and a ghostly light appeared on his fist. This ghostly light turned into a fierce tiger that entered his fist and collided with Sher San's fist. After a muffled bang, the demon soldier coughed out blood and his body was thrown back like he was hit by a powerful force. He landed on a table a few dozen feet away, causing the table to collapse. He fell to the ground and coughed out blood like crazy. Sher San retreated a few steps and blood came out from the corner of his mouth. He was already injured when he caught the wine jar, and now he was forced to use his body's power. This caused his injuries to worsen, and his right fist was numb. His body refining technique wasn't complete, so it wasn't strong enough. When Hu Pao saw 13 attack, without a word, he touched his bosom with his right hand and dozens of small flags appeared in his hand. He waved them and gusts of cold wind howled around him. When the demon soldiers saw their own people being injured, they all stood up. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. After fighting on the battlefield for a long time, once they released their killing intent, their fierceness would increase several-fold. Only the gloomy person sat there and didn't move. His gaze was still on Wang Lin. "Savage, you dare to cause trouble in ancient demon city?" Some of the demon soldiers sneered and charged out like ferocious tigers. The 6 demon soldiers attacked at the same time. Hu Pao cursed in his heart. He waved the soul flag in his hand and a large amount of soul fragments flew out, filling the entire restaurant. Sher San's body flashed and he merged with the soul fragments to begin the slaughter. Someone from the demon soldiers immediately shouted, "Demon spell! Brothers, break the god with demonic power." The 6 demon soldiers were very familiar with this and immediately released all their demonic spiritual energy. 6 extremely powerful demonic spiritual energies rushed out like angry dragons. These 6 demonic spiritual energies were no weaker than 30 cells of demonic spiritual energy. At this moment, all the soul fragments in the restaurant were forced back. Sher San's face was pale, and Hu Pao cursed in his heart. The two of them looked at each other and saw the determination in each other's eyes. Even if he died, he had to protect the ancestors' safety. At this moment, Hu Pao suddenly felt like Sher San wasn't as annoying as he had thought. The commander, who had been sitting on the chair with a gloomy expression, suddenly stood up and roared, "Withdraw your demonic power! Quickly!" The moment his voice echoed, the 6 demonic spiritual energies in the restaurant suddenly went out of control. The 6 demon soldiers were confused as the 6 demonic spiritual energies charged toward Wang Lin and entered Wang Lin's body. At this moment, the reminiscence in Wang Lin's eyes disappeared. He let out a long breath and his eyes became clear. What a powerful demonic spiritual energy! There was a flash of shock in Wang Lin's eyes. Chapter 547. For cultivators, the path of Tao is to be firm and not be moved by external things. This is called the Tao heart. Just like how the mortal wind penetrates the body and attacks the heart to turn into Tao, reversing one's origin and soul, one becomes a human demon. The moment Wang Lin's eyes became clear, there was a flash of shock in them. With his cultivation level and his determination towards Tao, it was as if he had just experienced a calamity. Reminiscing wasn't scary, what was scary was that his entire mind was immersed in it and he couldn't pull himself out. Normally, this wouldn't have happened to Wang Lin, but after he became a demon, even though he had suppressed and sealed the demon, there was still a demonic intent in his body. This demonic intent was the reason why Wang Lin was reminiscing. Among the ancient cultivators, there was a saying that when cultivators communicate with the heavens and the earth and comprehend the heavens, some heavenly demons would appear and merge with the void without a trace. From another perspective, it also meant that it was everywhere. When heavenly demons enter a cultivator's body, they will ignite the Tao fire in the cultivator's body to burn their origin soul, steal their life, and destroy their Tao. In the eyes of the cultivators of Shangji, heavenly demons were extremely terrifying. If they were a bit careless, they would lose control of their body and regret it for the rest of their life. With the decline of the ancient cultivation world and the appearance of the Cultivation Alliance, the talk of heavenly demons gradually disappeared. What remained was a systematic analysis and logical deduction. The Cultivation Alliance gave a negative answer as to whether or not heavenly demons really existed. The Cultivation Alliance believed that the demonic intent inside the body was born and didn't conform to the heavens. As a result, the inside and outside of the body were not in harmony. The yin and yang were not in harmony, and the Tao heart was unstable. This was what happened to Wang Lin earlier. When he felt the urge to return to Suzaku, the demonic intent inside his body reached its peak. If this continued, perhaps Wang Lin could slowly awaken on his own, but the time it would take could be long or short. The appearance of the demon soldiers, especially the release of the demonic qi, allowed Wang Lin to find a way out in the face of adversity. When the demonic qi of the 6 demon soldiers rampaged in the restaurant, Wang Lin was shocked and his mind recovered for a moment. Although it was only a moment, it was enough for Wang Lin to do many things. Without any hesitation, the demon crystal in his body released demonic spiritual energy that quickly moved through his body. It collided with the celestial spiritual energy and formed a vortex inside his body. This vortex was formed by the demonic spiritual energy fusing with the celestial spiritual energy. In the demon spirit land, for foreign cultivators, demonic spiritual energy was a substitute for celestial jade. Fusing it with celestial spiritual energy would increase their celestial spiritual energy. Before, Wang Lin hadn't fused with the demon soldiers. He had been looking for an opportunity. Now that he had fused with them, the demonic energy in the outside world was stimulated, and the demonic energy from the 6 demon soldiers was completely devoured. Although all of this sounds like a long time, it all happened in an instant. Inside the restaurant, when Sher San saw that Wang Lin had returned to normal, he let out a breath of relief. In his heart, as long as Wang Lin was here, nothing would be a problem. He immediately arrived behind Wang Lin and coldly looked at the demon soldiers inside the restaurant. Hu Pao's nervousness disappeared. He waved his right hand, put away the soul flag, and stood next to Wang Lin. At this moment, the 6 demon soldiers that had lost their demonic spiritual energy were extremely weak. Their eyes were filled with disbelief, and their gazes toward Wang Lin were filled with fear. "Who are you?" The man with a gloomy face stood up and asked in a deep voice. Wang Lin picked up the unopened wine jar on the table. He didn't even look at the man and walked out of the restaurant. Sher San took out some demon stones and placed them on the table, before following Wang Lin out of the restaurant. As for Hu Pao, he looked at the demon soldiers inside the restaurant and let out a cold laugh before following behind Wang Lin. The gloomy man slammed the table and shouted, "Stop!" With that, he took a step forward and a powerful demonic force burst out, causing the entire restaurant to be filled with a demonic aura. The demonic aura seemed to have a physical form, and immediately turned into sharp swords that flew toward Wang Lin's group of 3. Wang Lin turned around with a cold look in his eyes. He waved his right hand, causing a strange wind to appear out of nowhere. The swords formed by the demonic aura instantly dissipated. "We will meet again." Wang Lin left those words and walked out of the restaurant. The gloomy man's eyes narrowed as he looked at Wang Lin's back and began to ponder. After walking out of the restaurant, Wang Lin didn't go anywhere else. He quickly returned to his room and sat down in the lotus position. He circulated his celestial spiritual energy to search his body bit by bit. The scene of him entering bedevilment in the restaurant had given him a sense of crisis. He had previously underestimated the side effects of bedevilment, but now that he had calmed his qi and focused his mind, he began to carefully search his body. Soon, he discovered faint traces of devilish will in many parts of his body. Every time he found a trace of demonic intent, Wang Lin would immediately expel it. It wasn't until 2 days later that he let out a sigh of relief after circulating his celestial spiritual energy a few times and finding no trace of demonic intent. At this moment, there were 3 black balls floating in front of him. These 3 balls were the demonic intent that he had expelled from his body. It would be a pity to abandon this devilish intent, but if I use it well, it can destroy my Tao and catch me off guard. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as his right hand reached out and put the 3 small balls into his bag of holding. The 7 days are almost up. The demon general said that someone would take me to the barracks. As Wang Lin pondered, his expression changed and he looked toward the door. Not long after, Sher San's voice came from outside. "Ancestor, someone wants to see you." Wang Lin's expression was calm as he calmly said, "Come in." As soon as he said that, the door was pushed open. 13 and Hu Pao brought a person into the room. This person looked to be in his 40s and was dressed in black. His face was thin, and as soon as he entered the room, a cold aura filled the air. The moment he entered the room, his gaze fell on Wang Lin, who was sitting on the bed. After looking at him for a bit, he clasped his hands and said, "Greetings, Commander Wang. I'm the Demon General's steward. I'm here to bring the commander to the barracks under the Demon General's orders. However, before that, please show me your token, Commander Wang." Wang Lin touched his bag of holding and a bronze token appeared in his hand. He threw it forward. The steward caught the token and looked at it carefully. He nodded and returned the token. Then he bit the tip of his finger and drew in the air. A blood-colored formation instantly appeared before him. This formation was extremely complicated, but in Wang Lin's eyes, he could see some patterns. Teleportation formation. Wang Lin took back the token and said softly. The steward looked up at Wang Lin and said, "Commander Wang's knowledge is extraordinary. This is indeed a teleportation formation, but it's different from the formations you cultivators use. This formation was created by the Demon Emperor himself, and it's used for teleportation." After he finished speaking, he took a step forward and disappeared into the blood-colored formation. At this moment, only Wang Lin's group of 3 was left in the room. Shi San's eyes were filled with determination as he entered the formation first. He had given himself the responsibility to protect the ancestor with his life. This formation was strange, so he would risk it himself. Seeing Shi San's action, Wang Lin secretly nodded. He stood up and walked into the formation. Hu Pao muttered a few words in his heart as he followed behind Wang Lin. The moment Wang Lin stepped out from the other side of the formation, an earth-shattering roar came from all directions like a thunderous roar. Shi San, who walked out first, revealed a hint of shock in his eyes. He immediately took a few steps back and his face turned pale. He was already injured, and now he was even more shocked by the scene before him. The blood in his body surged and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. As for Hu Pao, he hadn't been injured before, but his body wasn't as sturdy as 13's. Under the impact of the sound wave, his ears rumbled and the demonic spiritual energy in his body scattered like crazy in his meridians. His face was pale. If it wasn't for the fact that the ancestor was beside him and he didn't want to embarrass the ancestor, he would have already sat down to adjust his demonic spiritual energy. However, the more he endured, the more intense the demonic spiritual energy in his body became. Just at this moment, a gentle force came from the outside. Almost instantly, the demonic spiritual energy in Hu Pao's body became obedient as if it had met its ancestor. It quickly gathered in his meridians and returned to normal. Wang Lin raised his right hand from Hu Pao's shoulder and took a step forward. A surge of celestial spiritual energy entered Shi San's body and circulated through his flesh and blood. Shi San's body immediately lightened and his injuries recovered. After doing all of this, Wang Lin looked around. This was a camp made of black stone and was about 50 meters wide. Outside the camp was a giant city wall that was dozens of feet tall. There were fluctuations of demonic spiritual energy on the city wall. It was obvious there was a spell added to it. The place where Wang Lin appeared was at the center of the camp. 1,000 feet away from him, there were demon soldiers wearing black armor standing straight. They were surrounded by black gas like they were demon gods. These demon soldiers formed a square, and at this moment there were 10 square squads that surrounded Wang Lin. A powerful killing intent spread out like crazy. The killing intent of 10,000 people was not something a normal person could imagine. Almost all of these 10,000 people had demonic spiritual energy that was no weaker than 30 ranks of demonic spiritual energy. Some of them even had more than 100 ranks of demonic spiritual energy. In addition, these 10,000 people had been on the battlefield for a long time. Every one of them had killed countless people. Their killing intent had accumulated over the years and had almost fused into their bones. Under this killing intent, the surroundings were completely silent. This kind of silence was extremely terrifying. 10,000 pairs of eyes were all staring at one person. Their gazes were the focus of all their killing intent. These 10,000 gazes were no weaker than 10,000 flying swords. Wang Lin stood at the center with a calm expression. There was nothing abnormal about him. The only thing that responded to these 10,000 gazes was his cold gaze. Chapter 548. The moment he appeared from the formation, the 10,000 black-armored demon soldiers let out a roar of slaughter. This roar was filled with demonic energy, and its power was no weaker than the roar of a soul transformation cultivator. The steward's eyes revealed a hint of mockery. He let out a dry cough as he looked at the surrounding black-armored demon soldiers and shouted, "Where is Commander Sima?" As soon as the words were spoken, the sound of horses galloping could be heard from the distance. A giant beast with a single horn on its forehead and a pitch-black body charged toward them. The beast's speed was extremely fast, leaving a trail of dust in its wake like a tidal wave. There was a person standing on top of the beast. This person was wearing black armor with purple markings on its surface. He wore a black helmet, and a dense killing intent was released from his eyes, which were the only parts of his helmet that could be seen. When he saw Wang Lin appear, there was a hint of shock in his eyes, but it was immediately replaced by a powerful killing intent. As this person charged over, the surrounding demon soldiers immediately opened up a path, allowing this person to charge at Wang Lin. When he was 300 feet away from the center, the beast under his feet let out a roar and stopped. Although it stopped, it kicked up a cloud of dust. The steward waved his sleeves and immediately a gust of wind swept past, blowing away the dust in the surroundings. He looked at the black-armored man and said, "This is the new commander, Vice Commander Sima. You still haven't greeted him?" He purposely emphasized the word vice with a slightly heavier tone. The black-armored person gloomily looked at Wang Lin and coldly said, "Sima Yen greets the commander." Wang Lin's expression was calm as he looked at this person and calmly said, "I've already met you." Sima Yen let out a cold snort and took off his helmet. It was the gloomy person from the restaurant. The steward's eyes revealed an unfathomable look as he clasped his hands at Wang Lin and said, "Commander Wang, since I'm here, I'll be taking my leave. I still have to report back to the Demon General." Wang Lin faintly smiled and said, "Thank you, steward." The steward nodded with a smile. He took a step forward and entered the formation again, disappearing without a trace. After he left, the camp fell silent. Only the sound of breathing could be heard. Sima Yen looked coldly at Wang Lin and said, "Lord Commander, the 10,000 demon soldiers of the Black Armored Army, other than 6 who are unconscious and unable to come out, are all here." Wang Lin's expression was the same as usual. He calmly looked at the black-armored demon soldiers around him. In their eyes, he saw disdain and hostility. A cold light flashed in Wang Lin's eyes and he slowly said, "All of you, step down." None of the 10,000 demon soldiers moved. Their gazes all landed on Sima Yen. If Sima Yen didn't say anything, they wouldn't listen to anyone, even if this person was the new commander. Wang Lin didn't even look at the demon soldiers around him. He walked out and passed through the 10 squads. Shi San and Hu Pao followed closely behind him. Their expressions were dark and they didn't say a word. After the 3 of them left, the 10,000 demon soldiers in the 10 squads burst out laughing. This laughter was filled with disdain and disdain. Only Sima Yen didn't laugh. He frowned. He didn't know much about this new commander, but he knew that if he encountered this situation, he wouldn't walk away so calmly. He would definitely cause a scene. "All of you, step down. Continue your training," Sima Yen said with a frown. Although his voice was soft, it was like thunder in the ears of the demon soldiers. The 10,000 demon soldiers immediately stepped back and the 10 squads began their training. Other than the rows of barracks, there was also a relatively simple house. However, the house was protected by a protective formation. A large black flag was erected at the side, and on the flag cloth, 2 words were embroidered with golden thread. Sima. It was obvious that this house was where Sima Yen lived. On the side were the remains of some buildings. It was obvious that there was more than one house here. Hu Pao looked at everything in front of him. When he heard the mockery from the demon soldiers behind him, his expression became gloomy and he angrily said, "Ancestor, these demon soldiers are going too far." Wang Lin's expression remained the same and he calmly said, "Don't worry about them. Since there is no place for us to live here, we'll just cultivate in the open." As he spoke, he found an open space, sat down, and began to cultivate. Hu Pao suppressed the anger in his heart and coldly looked at the scattered demon soldiers. He let out a cold snort and sat down to guard Wang Lin's left. Although Sher San's expression was gloomy, his eyes were as calm as water. He didn't care about the contempt of these demon soldiers. He only knew that as long as Wang Lin gave the order, even if he lost his life, he wouldn't hesitate to attack. On the right side of Wang Lin, Sher San sat down and closed his eyes to cultivate the giant demon clan's body-refining spell. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye, it was night time. The 10,000 demon soldiers in the camp continued to shout as they sparred with each other. Their focus was on actual combat and the coordination of formations. The demon soldiers that passed by Wang Lin were filled with disdain. Wang Lin's expression didn't change at all. He was like a pool of water without any ripples. Sher San had been imitating Wang Lin and was also cultivating with his eyes closed. Although there were a few ripples in his heart, he was able to suppress them in the end. Only Hu Pao couldn't calm down at all. His gaze was cold as he scanned the demon soldiers that passed by. Not only was Wang Lin's expression calm, but his heart was as calm as water. He wasn't in a rush to deal with this place but to observe. Although he had been cultivating, his divine sense had silently observed these 10,000 people. Every 1,000-man platoon had a leader. Most of the 10 leaders were Sima Yan's trusted aides. As for the 6 demon soldiers in the restaurant that day, although their cultivation bases were ordinary, they were clearly people with prestige in the army. The reason he didn't immediately act was because he had a very deep understanding of the demon soldiers and the laws of the demon spirit land. This understanding came from the memories of Lu Yun's ancestor. The 9 countries of the demon spirit land followed military law, which was very different from the cultivation world. Unless one's cultivation was heaven-defying and could fight against the demon emperor, one had to follow the military law if one wanted to borrow the power of the demon spirit land. Any outsider that entered the demon spirit land would first integrate into the 9 countries and gain military power. Only then would they be able to gain a foothold here. Otherwise, if they were alone and met an opponent with tens of thousands of demon soldiers, there would be no need to fight at all. Although the cultivation levels of these demon soldiers weren't high, there were some experts among them. In addition, these demon soldiers were good at formations. They used all kinds of strange formations to kill their enemies, and they often caught them off guard. What's more, if one killed too many demon soldiers, it would draw out the powerful generals of the countries. At that time, a lone cultivator wouldn't be able to gain a foothold in the country. The only way was to quickly escape to another country. However, if one followed the rules, they would have to escape from one country to the next. In the end, they would be unable to move an inch in the demon spirit land. The only way was to find a place to go into closed-door cultivation, but as a result, they wouldn't be able to get any military merits and would lose the chance to fuse with an ancient demon. All of this caused all the cultivators that entered the demon spirit land to find ways to obtain positions in the various countries. As a result, they had to follow the military law, or else they would lose everything. Wang Lin was very clear about this. If he acted without reason, it would be hard to avoid killing during the reorganization. Also, once these demon soldiers recognized one person, even if he tried to kill that person, it wouldn't solve the problem. In the end, he could only break the military law and fail the reorganization, so he could only give up. Many powerful cultivators failed at this checkpoint. After all, after thousands of people entered and went through a series of eliminations, only a small portion of them could truly gain a foothold. Some of the cultivators were more irritable and would directly attack demon soldiers that didn't listen to their orders. However, compared to the demon soldiers of the 9 countries, cultivators were, after all, outsiders. The demon emperors of the 9 countries wouldn't favor these outsiders, so when an outsider obtained a position, there would be an additional military law. If one person didn't listen, it would be that person's responsibility. But if 10 people didn't listen, it would be the general's responsibility. The meaning of 10 was very wide. It could be said to be a team of 10 people, or it could be said to have 10 people individually or in total, constantly giving orders. That's why Wang Lin wasn't in a rush. He was like a hunter, he was waiting for an opportunity, a chance to reorganize everything once he made his move. Time passed quickly. Wang Lin had been meditating on the empty ground for 3 days. During this time, San remained calm. 2 days ago, Wang Lin gave him a jade slip and told him to memorize the contents inside. He had been memorizing it for the past few days. However, Hu Pao became more and more irritable. Over the past 3 days, more and more demon soldiers ignored Wang Lin and company. In their eyes, this new commander was really insignificant. But Sima Yan's vigilance grew higher and higher. He still felt like something was off. This new commander was completely out of his expectations. During these 3 days, not only did he not interfere with the affairs of the camp, he didn't even say a single word. He just sat there cross-legged, as if he had returned to silence. If one of his attendants was angry and irritated, with killing intent in their eyes, then Sima Yan would be even more cautious. He wasn't afraid of them attacking him, he wasn't afraid of them getting angry, and he wasn't afraid of them interfering with the affairs of the camp. He had ways to embarrass them or even kick them out of this place. What he was truly afraid of was this unfathomable silence. Just what is the new lieutenant commander thinking? Sima Yan was currently in his room, and sitting in front of him were 8 people. These 8 people were the lieutenant commanders. Lord Commander, Su Yu and Zhou Kai rarely interact with us. They didn't come to participate in Lord Commander's gathering. What do you think? Among the 8, a burly bald man sitting to the side said in a deep voice. This person wore black armor and gave off a dignified aura. There was a scorpion totem on his bald head. This scorpion looked extremely strange. At first glance, it looked like it was alive, and it made people feel uneasy. Sima Yan rubbed his forehead. These 3 days felt like years to him. The more silent Wang Lin became, the more he felt a strong sense of danger. We'll talk about them later. Today, I gathered all of you here because I want to hear what you think about this new commander. We're all on the same side, so you can speak your mind. Sima Yan said in a low voice. Tomorrow, there would be a little girl who would earnestly write everything down to make everyone happy. Chapter 549. What opinion can there be? This person is just trash. There's no need to bother with him. The person who spoke was a middle-aged man. His eyes were filled with disdain. He looked down on this new commander from the bottom of his heart. More accurately speaking, he did not place any outsiders in his eyes. Commander Sun's words are wrong. This new commander should be someone with deep schemes. For him to be able to remain unperturbed over the past few days, he is definitely not an ordinary person. A white-haired old man sitting below Sima Yan said in a deep voice. Although this person was old, the black armor on his body made him look old but firm. Captain Sun snorted and said with dissatisfaction, "You are making too much of a fuss over nothing." Many people discussed Wang Lin's opinion, but in the end, no one came to a unanimous decision. Sima Yan rubbed his forehead and said, "All right, all of you remember not to provoke this person. As time passes, I don't believe he will remain as calm as water. As long as he takes the initiative to attack, we will have a way to deal with him." Time gradually passed. In the blink of an eye, Wang Lin had already been meditating in the camp for half a month. During this half a month, he did not do anything. Every day, he would close his eyes and cultivate. This camp seemed to have become his cultivation ground. San's mentality finally reached a calm state as he cultivated with Wang Lin. However, the anger in Hu Pao's heart was gradually increasing. If it wasn't for the fact that he had some misgivings, he would have already taken out his soul flag to fight. Wang Lin's silence made the tens of thousands of demon soldiers look at him with even more disdain. Wang Lin turned a deaf ear to all of this. On this day, in the barracks, the group led by Captain Sun passed by where Wang Lin was cultivating. Captain Sun didn't hide his contempt and disdain. He looked down on this new commander from the bottom of his heart. When he passed by, he couldn't help but spit on Wang Lin and arrogantly said, "Trash." When the demon soldiers saw their leader's actions and words, they immediately burst into laughter. Their laughter was filled with disdain. The moment the saliva hit the ground, Wang Lin opened his eyes. His eyes were calm, and his voice was even calmer. "Captain Sun, what did you say?" Captain Sun was startled. This was the first time in half a month that Wang Lin had spoken. He sneered in his heart and said disdainfully, "I just said the word trash." His tone was arrogant, but before he could finish speaking, Wang Lin's eyes flashed coldly, and a thought-provoking smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. His right hand moved like lightning, and as he made a grabbing motion, an invisible force immediately appeared in the surroundings. Captain Sun's body was immediately bound by this invisible force. Without any hesitation, he was directly grabbed from a distance away. Captain Sun's expression changed. He wanted to struggle, but no matter how much he struggled, even though he released demonic spiritual energy, the invisible force that bound his body didn't loosen at all. Instead, it became tighter and tighter. His body immediately landed on Wang Lin's right hand, and his neck was grabbed by Wang Lin. "You!" The blood on his face condensed and turned red. At this moment, the hand on his neck was like the door of death, and it trapped him inside. Even so, he still glared at Wang Lin. He didn't believe that Wang Lin would dare to kill him, but he felt dread toward Wang Lin's cultivation. The moment Wang Lin attacked, he didn't even have the ability to fight back. Even Commander Sima couldn't have this kind of cultivation. Seeing their leader being captured, the 1,000 black-armored demon soldiers immediately charged toward Wang Lin. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes, and he softly said, "Sure-san, read the 8th law of the Sky Demon Country." Sure-san had been memorizing the contents of the jade for the past few days. When he heard Wang Lin's question, he immediately said, "Those who offend their superiors will be beheaded." Captain Sun's body trembled, and he had a bad feeling. He was about to struggle to speak, but Wang Lin's hand was on his neck, making it impossible for him to speak. Wang Lin's eyes became cold and he revealed a grim smile. His right hand suddenly exerted force, and the captain didn't even get a chance to make a sound before his neck was crushed by Wang Lin. At the same time, Wang Lin's celestial spiritual energy entered the captain's body like crazy and instantly destroyed all of his cultivation. Even at the moment of his death, Captain Sun's eyes were filled with disbelief. He didn't think the new commander would dare to kill him. After grabbing this person's body, Wang Lin took a deep breath. Strands of demonic energy came out of the person's body and were absorbed by Wang Lin. All of this happened very quickly. The moment Sure-san finished speaking, Wang Lin killed this person without any hesitation. At this moment, all of the demon soldiers that were charging at Wang Lin suddenly stopped. Their eyes were filled with anger, and some of the smarter ones immediately changed the way they looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin casually threw Captain Sun's body and coldly looked at the demon soldiers before him. He didn't say a word. The corpse landed in front of the demon soldiers with a thud. The demon soldiers who had been personally led by Captain Sun stared into the eyes of Captain Sun, who had died with a grievance. The anger in their hearts was ignited. Among the demon soldiers, someone immediately roared, "Brothers, get revenge for the commander!" The moment this was said, more than half of the demon soldiers also roared and charged forward without any hesitation. They all released their demonic energy. In their eyes, Wang Lin was their enemy. The coldness in Wang Lin's eyes became even stronger as he softly said, "Offending your superior." He revealed a grim smile, but he didn't get up. Instead, he slapped his bag of holding and the celestial sword appeared in his hand. He waved his hand and a ray of sword energy shot out. At the same time, the half-moon blade followed closely behind and charged into the group of demon soldiers. Screams of agony echoed in the air. The celestial sword's sword light dealt with these demon soldiers, whose cultivation level was around the core formation stage. As for the curved saber, with a flash, a demon soldier's head fell to the ground. The chaos here was immediately seen by the demon soldiers of the other squads in the barracks, and they all looked at their respective squads. The remaining 9 squads in the barracks immediately rushed over, and behind them, the demon soldiers followed closely. Among the 9 commanders, someone immediately roared, "Stop!" 50 kilometers wasn't far to begin with. Before long, dust was kicked up as the 9,000 demon soldiers closed in on Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't even look at them. He spread out his arms and the celestial and demonic spiritual energy in his body formed a vortex. The demonic spiritual energy of the hundreds of demon soldiers killed by the celestial sword and curved blade flew toward Wang Lin and was absorbed into his body. The demonic spiritual energy was very rich, and it formed a vortex with Wang Lin at the center. When the 9,000 demon soldiers closed in, Wang Lin absorbed all of the demonic spiritual energy. Then he pointed at the void and the celestial sword and half-moon blade returned. They hovered above his head and let out a series of hymns. In just a short period of time, more than half of the 1,000 demon soldiers led by the Sun family had died. The remaining people all retreated. The anger in their eyes dissipated and was replaced by boundless killing intent and a trace of fear that was hidden very deep within their hearts. The 9 commanders were all wearing black armor as they closed in on Wang Lin. Their gazes immediately landed on the corpse of Commander Sunday. The 9 demon soldiers spread out and surrounded Wang Lin. Dense killing intent filled the area. They didn't just surround him, they formed a formation. The killing intent of this formation was directed toward Wang Lin. Shi San and Hu Pao immediately stood up. Their eyes were cold, especially Hu Pao. He licked his lips, took out all the soul flags, and coldly looked around. Wang Lin was still sitting on the ground. Even when he was killing the demon soldiers, he didn't stand up. At this moment, even though he was surrounded by 9,000 demon soldiers, his expression was still the same as before. He said calmly, "Are you all going to offend your superiors?" The 9 captains all felt a chill in their hearts. The demon soldiers' blood on the ground hadn't even dried yet and the severed arms and heads were on the ground. All of this caused their impression of Wang Lin to completely change. Especially when they heard what the other party said, they looked at each other and didn't say anything. At this moment, an enraged roar resounded from afar. Sima Yen was like a raging gust of wind, rushing over. He leaped over countless demon soldiers, and almost instantly arrived before Qin Wentian. When he saw the bloodstains on the ground, his expression instantly turned as dark as water. He had been meditating just now, and when he sensed that there was chaos in the camp, he immediately stopped cultivating. However, he didn't show himself. Instead, he used a secret technique to inform the steward of the army. Only after Wang Lin was surrounded did he walk out. "Commander, no matter what the reason is, after you killed Commander Sun, you slaughtered the demon soldiers under your command. I will not let this matter rest," Sima Yen said in a serious tone. Wang Lin's expression remained the same as he faintly smiled and said, "Shi San, Sky Demon Country's military rule, Shi San's rule, read it." Shi San immediately said, "Anyone who dares to surround the camp must retreat within 30 breaths of time. If they don't retreat, they will be beheaded." Sky Demon Country's military rule, second rule, read it. Anyone who dares to use a Zhu Xian level formation without permission must disperse within 20 breaths of time. Otherwise, it will be considered a major crime. Wang Lin's expression remained the same, but Sima Yan's expression became even more gloomy. He immediately understood that the reason this person hadn't done anything in the past half-month was because he was waiting. He was waiting for an opportunity to make everyone die. 3 of the 9 commanders immediately retreated. They looked at each other and saw the fear in each other's eyes. They didn't want to participate in this kind of battle for the position of commander. San, time. Wang Lin closed his eyes and no longer looked at Sima Yan. San's eyes were calm as he slowly said, San's time has passed. 16, 15, 14, San. Chapter 550. Scatter. Sima Yan roared while gritting his teeth. His words were like an order in the camp. The surrounding 9,000 demon soldiers immediately scattered. As a result, the encirclement was broken, and the formation no longer existed. Just at this moment, there was a flash of blood light in the center of the camp, and the thin figure of the steward slowly appeared. He wasn't alone. Behind him was an old man wearing linen. This old man's hair flowed in the wind, and as he stood there, everything around him seemed to move with him. The moment the old man appeared, Wang Lin opened his eyes. His gaze pierced through the demon soldiers and landed on the old man. The old man's eyes also narrowed as he looked at Wang Lin. The moment their gazes met, Wang Lin was startled, but he immediately returned to normal. He saw 4 seals in the old man's body. The old man's body also trembled and his eyes lit up. He was extremely shocked. One glance from the old man had almost caused the seals in his body to collapse. After the steward appeared, he immediately took a step forward and appeared a few hundred feet away from Wang Lin. The old man did the same. The steward's thin face didn't change at all when he saw the wreckage on the ground. Adjunct Lord, the commander killed Commander's son for no reason and even killed 500 demon soldiers. Everyone saw this with their own eyes. Sima Yan immediately said. Wang Lin waved his right hand and a piece of jade flew out and was caught by the steward. He looked at it and injected demonic spiritual energy into it. Suddenly, images appeared in his mind. These images were the beginning and the end of everything. The steward looked at Wang Lin meaningfully. The contempt he had for Wang Lin disappeared and was replaced with a desire to befriend him. Wang Lin's actions gave him the upper hand, so he was basically invincible. He revealed a smile and said, Commander Wang, sorry to disturb you. I will report this matter to the demon general. This is how those who offend their superiors should be treated. As he spoke, he cupped his fists towards Wang Lin and left with a smile. The old man next to him also cupped his fists at Wang Lin and said, Wang Lin, I'm very grateful to you. Commander Wang's cultivation is shocking. I'm impressed. After the two left, Sima Yan was silent for a long time before respectfully saying to Wang Lin, This general was rash in this matter. I hope that commander will not take offense. As soon as he said this, a strange light appeared in the eyes of a few of the captains. One of them hesitated for a moment before he respectfully said to Wang Lin, This subordinate was also reckless in this matter. Then, all the leaders said the same thing. The outcome of this matter had been decided from the very beginning. None of the people present were fools. By now, they had all seen through Wang Lin's methods. It was fine if this new commander did not make a move, but once he did, it would be like a bolt of thunder. If this internal strife continued, what happened to Captain Sun might happen again one day. Furthermore, looking at this person's cultivation, even if Sima Yan were to make a move, he would not be able to win. As a result, there were many people who were willing to compromise. Wang Lin stood up and pressed his right hand against the ground. Instantly, a loud rumble came from the ground of the entire camp. It was as if an earth dragon was moving. In that instant, the ground of the entire camp sank by an inch. The extra soil was like a spring under Wang Lin's feet and quickly rose into the air. Dust flew everywhere, as if it was covering the sky and earth. Almost in the blink of an eye, A majestic pavilion built from mud and stone suddenly stood on the ground. It was a two-story building. Although it was monotonous in color, it had a dignified air about it. With just a wave of his hand, he had shaved off an inch of land from the camp and turned it into a building. This kind of method not only shocked Sima Yen and the others, but it also shocked the 9,000 demon soldiers. "All of you leave," Wang Lin said calmly before turning around and walking into the building. Shi San followed closely behind. As for Hu Si, he looked at everyone with a cold smile before turning around and following behind. He felt extremely good in his heart. The pressure he had been suppressing for half a month had finally been released today. His respect for Wang Lin was even deeper. After Wang Lin and the others entered the building, Sima Yen clenched his fists and left without saying a word. As for the 9 leaders, they looked at each other and made up their minds to leave. From that day onwards, of the 8 captains who had been in close contact with Sima Yen, aside from the one named Sun who died, only 3 of them continued to maintain close contact with him. The other 4 gradually distanced themselves from Sima Yen. From this day onward, Wang Lin's figure gradually became clear in the hearts of all the demon soldiers in the camp. Since Wang Lin became the commander, he hadn't issued a single order, but his dignity was gradually established under the price of blood. There were 16 military camps in Demon Warning City, and all of them had black armor as their symbol. However, there were some minor differences. At this moment, in the 3rd military camp, Yao Shishue was sitting cross-legged in a room, quietly meditating. Late at night, Yao Shishue opened her eyes. Her beautiful eyes were shining brightly. There was a purple light coming from the demonic moon outside the window. Tonight was the Demon Spirit Land's once-a-year Purple Demon Ascension. Rumor has it that when the Purple Demon Ascension occurs, it is the moment the heavens and earth connect. As for the specifics, no one knew. This rumor was passed down from ancient times, and no one could explain it clearly. She took a deep breath and stood up. She spread out her divine sense and touched her bag of holding. A red compass immediately appeared in her hand. Looking at the compass, she revealed a look of hesitation. "I've already been to that place 3 times, but each time I stop at the same place. Daddy once said that to enter that place, my cultivation level must be at the ascendant stage. If I follow the plan Daddy gave me, I'll absorb enough demonic energy here to reach the ascendant stage. With the help of the blood soul pill, I have an 80% chance of success, but during this tide, that token actually appeared." Yao Shishue slightly frowned as she held the compass and began to ponder. That place was something Father, Tian Yunzi, and company found out about when they entered the Demon Spirit Land. At that time, he didn't have time to investigate, so he went to the Tide Abyss with Tian Yunzi and company. According to his analysis over the years, 6 Might is confident that place is real. "Forget it, I'll go again. If I still can't enter, then I'll have to wait until I reach the ascendant stage. After all, I used up 3 of the blood soul pills Father refined 3 times, so now I only have 6 left. I still have a long time to stay here, so I can't waste them all. 1 blood soul pill is a chance to revive." Yao Shishue's eyes revealed a decisive gaze. She was already a very beautiful person, and now that her eyes were filled with determination, she gave off a different kind of heroic aura. It was very moving. She gently placed the compass on the ground, then her right hand touched her bag of holding once more. A wax pill immediately appeared in her hand. There were rows of fine runes on the white wax pill. These runes slowly flashed as if they were breathing and the frequency of a heartbeat. It was very strange. Yao Shishue took a deep breath and crushed the wax pill. At the moment the wax pill shattered, a drop of blue blood floated out. What was sealed inside the wax pill was this blue blood. She didn't hesitate. She bit the tip of her finger and squeezed out her blood, which turned into a complicated rune in the air. Once the rune appeared, it immediately fused with the blue blood. After a while, Yao Shishue suddenly grabbed the rune and pressed it against the spot between her eyebrows. A hint of pain appeared on her face, and after a long time, the pain gradually faded. She gasped for breath and raised her finger. The rune came out from between her eyebrows and turned back into the drop of blue blood. She swung her right hand, and the blue blood instantly disappeared without a trace. Then, she gritted her teeth and stepped on the feng shui compass on the floor. A gentle light shone, and a large amount of runic symbols appeared on the feng shui compass. They circled around and filled the entire room. All of this lasted for 3 breaths of time. After 3 breaths of time, Yao Shishue disappeared along with the compass. Time slowly passed. Wang Lin's life was no different than before. He spent the entire day cultivating and rarely left his room. He gradually refined the demonic spiritual energy in his body into celestial spiritual energy, steadily increasing his cultivation level and stepping toward the late stage of soul transformation. There is a very accurate law in the world. The reason why the emperors of the mortal world are so dignified and respected by countless officials is because of distance and mystery. In the eyes of the officials, the high and mighty emperors are unreachable and their thoughts are unfathomable. This is why they are dignified. At this moment, Wang Lin was like this in the Black Armor Army. He rarely showed his face, but His Majesty, day by day, unknowingly completely suppressed Sima Yin, who often showed his face. During these few months, Hu Pao was like a fish in water in the army camp. His personality was always cheerful. Although there were some conflicts before, as time passed, those conflicts gradually dissipated. He interacted more and more with the captains in the army camp. In particular, there was a leader called Su Yu. She was a woman. The moment Hu Pao saw her, he was shocked. From then on, he was extremely attentive. On the other hand, Shi San sat outside the pavilion all day like a door god. He was indifferent to everyone other than Wang Lin. Several months later, in the 3rd Army Camp, inside Yao Shishue's room, a ray of blue light came out from the void and turned into blue runes. These runes quickly rotated, and at the center of the runes was a drop of blue blood that seemed to be boiling. Gradually, the boiling became more and more intense. Finally, the drop of blue blood became several times larger and formed a giant blue ball of blood. The surrounding runes rotated even faster. After a while, all of the runes stopped as if they were being summoned. They all flew toward the giant blue ball of blood and fused with it. When the last rune fused with it, the blue ball of blood immediately shrank. It didn't shrink completely, but as it shrank, it formed a beautiful body. This process didn't take long. After about 5 breaths of time, it was over. The blue orb of blood disappeared, and in its place was a naked woman. This woman was extremely beautiful, and her figure was curvaceous in all the right places. Her breathtaking curves were even more perfect. She was Yao Shishue. I failed again. If I didn't have this blood soul pill, I would have died 4 times. But this time I've broken through more than half of it. If there's someone helping me from the side, I'll definitely succeed. Yao Shishue opened her eyes and sighed to herself. However, her eyes immediately narrowed and she began to ponder. If someone helped me, Wang Lin. Chapter 551. In ancient Demon City, aside from me, there are 2 other cultivators. One of them is only at the early stage of soul transformation, so he won't be able to help. Only this Wang Lin was able to block the demon general's 7 collapse fist intent, so his cultivation is enough. However, this person's heart is cold, so if there's no reward, it will be difficult for him to help me. Yao Shishue pondered for a moment before casually waving her right hand in front of her. Her originally naked body was immediately hidden by bursts of light within her white clothes. Time passed. Wang Lin was still cultivating inside the barrack. After absorbing the demonic energy of the 500 demon soldiers and Captain Sun, the amount of demonic energy in his body had reached nearly 1,000 units. With nearly 1,000 units of demonic energy, the speed at which he absorbed the demonic energy here was several times faster than before. Wang Lin didn't care about anything in the barracks at all. He used all his time to absorb demonic energy in preparation for breaking through to the late stage of soul transformation. On this day, while Wang Lin was cultivating, he suddenly opened his eyes and his expression changed. Wang Daoyu, today, at the 3rd hour of the night, on top of the Drum Mountain 500 kilometers away from the barracks, Yao Shishue. Yao Shishue's voice was like smoke that echoed inside Wang Lin's origin soul. Wang Lin pondered a bit. After a while, he closed his eyes and continued to cultivate. At the 3rd hour of the night, on top of the Drum Mountain 500 kilometers away from the barracks, Yao Shishue stood at the top of the mountain in a white dress and quietly waited. Time slowly passed until the sun appeared, but Wang Lin still hadn't appeared. Yao Shishue's expression was cold as she let out a cold snort. Her body turned into a ray of white light and flew toward the barracks where Wang Lin was. Soon, she arrived outside the barracks and immediately teleported inside. The barracks formation was very useful to her. After all, she was one of the commanders. After entering the army camp, they were currently in the middle of a public square. Under the leadership of the captain, they were conducting a spell formation drill, which immediately attracted the attention of all the demon soldiers. Without any movements, many demon soldiers followed behind Yao Shishue. She flew at an extremely fast speed towards Wang Lin's loft. Outside the loft, Shi San suddenly opened his eyes and immediately stood up. He looked coldly at Yao Shishue, who was flying towards him. "Halt!" Shi San bellowed. Yao Shishue harumphed coldly. Not only did she not stop, she even increased her speed as she approached the pavilion. At this moment, the captains on the square charged toward the pagoda like lightning without any hesitation. Behind them, the demon soldiers unleashed their demonic auras and followed closely behind. Seeing Yao Shishue approaching, Shi San let out a roar. He took a step forward, clenched his right hand into a fist, and threw a punch. Yao Shishue didn't even look at Shi San. She pointed at the air with her right hand and a blood-red light immediately appeared, covering Shi San's body like a bloody robe. Shi San's body stopped and became completely still like a statue. Below the pagoda, Yao Shishue was about to enter. At this moment, the surrounding 9,000 demon soldiers charged over like tens of thousands of galloping horses. One of the captains immediately shouted, "Commander Yao, stop!" Yao Shishue's face was filled with killing intent. She waved her jade-like hand and a blood-red light immediately appeared. The area within a 100-meter radius was instantly covered by the blood-red light. The demon soldiers outside the 100-meter radius were immediately stopped, unable to enter. "I have a private matter to discuss with your commander Wang. Don't get involved," Yao Shishue coldly said as she walked toward the pagoda. The moment she walked into the pagoda, a cool breeze came from the pagoda and landed on Yao Shishue's body. Her expression suddenly changed and the blood-red light around her body suddenly flickered. After the cool breeze passed, the blood-red light gradually disappeared. Shi San's body was also touched by the cool breeze. He immediately trembled and regained his ability to move. Wang Lin's voice echoed in his ears. After hearing Wang Lin's secret message, Shi San didn't even look at Yao Shishue. He sat down cross-legged on the ground and remained silent. "Fellow cultivator, Yao seems to have quite a temper." Wang Lin's voice came from inside the pagoda. It was impossible to tell if he was happy or angry. Yao Shishue's face was still cold. She let out a snort and said, "My temper can't compare to Wang Daoyu's arrogance." With that, she took 3 steps forward, opened the door to the pagoda, and walked in. The windows of the pagoda were sealed shut and it was completely dark inside. The moment the door was opened, The bright sunlight fell into the pagoda, forming a shadow on the ground. Wang Lin was sitting cross-legged in the shadow at the end of the pagoda. It was impossible to see his expression. After entering this place, if you haven't done anything to tempt Wang, then don't blame Wang for not showing mercy to the fairer sex. Wang Lin's voice was extremely cold. He was at a critical moment in his cultivation. He originally planned to quietly go into closed-door cultivation for a few months to refine the demonic energy in his body to reach the late stage of soul transformation. Now that someone had broken into his pagoda and interrupted his cultivation, he naturally wouldn't give them any face. Yao Shishue coldly said, "I asked you to meet me at the Drum Mountain. Why didn't you go?" "Why should I go?" Wang Lin frowned. He had only met this woman twice. Even this time, it was only the third time. Yao Shishue was startled. She was angry before, so she directly came to find him, but at this moment she was asked by Wang Lin, so she couldn't say anything. After a moment of silence, Yao Shishue bowed slightly and said softly, "I was reckless in this matter. Wang Daoyu, please don't take offense. It's just that I need Wang Daoyu's help with something, so I took the risk to come here." "What is it?" Wang Lin's words were short. He didn't want to talk to this person. Right now was the critical moment of refining the demonic energy. Yao Shishue pointed her right hand in the void, and the door of the pagoda closed automatically. At the same time, a blood-red light shrouded the entire pagoda. "This matter is extremely secretive, so I have to be careful. Wang Daoyu, please don't mind me." Yao Shishue had a favor to ask, so she had to suppress her anger. "It's fine," Wang Lin said calmly. "There is a forbidden formation that I can't break on my own, so I need Wang Daoyu's help. Once the formation is broken, I will reward you handsomely," Yao Shishue said after pondering for a while. Wang Lin fell silent for a moment, before he slowly said, "Wang Daoyu has something important to do. I can't help you, fellow cultivator Yao, please forgive me." Not to mention that he really didn't have the time. Even if he did, he wouldn't agree so easily. After all, he didn't have any dealings with this person, and if the person's cultivation couldn't break the formation, Wang Lin didn't think that he could break it with his help. Also, the most important thing was that this person's words weren't true. It was obvious that he was hiding a lot of things. As a result, Wang Lin wouldn't help, nor was he obligated to help. Before Yao Shishue decided to find Wang Lin, she already knew that he wouldn't be willing to help, so she wasn't discouraged and said, "Wang Daoyu is at the mid-stage of soul transformation. If he wants to reach the late stage of soul transformation, he will need a lot of celestial jades. If he wants to reach the ascendant stage, the amount of celestial jades he will need is unimaginable. This is only secondary. During the 500 years in the demon spirit land, fellow cultivator will need a large amount of celestial jades to prepare for frequent consumption. As a result, celestial jades are something that fellow cultivator must obtain. I wonder if fellow cultivator has enough celestial jades? If not, then I can provide them." Wang Lin opened his eyes and saw two moon-like lights flashing in the shadow where he was sitting. He looked at Yao Shishue and slowly asked, "How much can you provide?" Yao Shishue revealed a smile. She wasn't afraid of Wang Lin asking for too much. She was afraid that Wang Lin wouldn't be tempted. Since he had asked, she was confident that she could satisfy him. Yao Shishue calmly said, "I can provide fellow cultivator with enough celestial jades to reach the early stage of ascendant." Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Yao Shishue's words had indeed tempted him. If it wasn't for the fact that he didn't have enough celestial jades, he would have already reached the late stage of soul transformation and wouldn't have to absorb the demonic spiritual energy he had worked so hard to gather. It was just as the old man had said. Although Wang Lin's current amount of celestial jades wasn't far from reaching the late stage of soul transformation, if he were to use them all, He would be at a disadvantage if he was injured or lost any celestial spiritual energy. He had considered this problem before, so until now, he hadn't absorbed the celestial spiritual energy from the celestial jade. Instead, he had accumulated demonic spiritual energy and transformed it. He had saved the celestial jades for last. Wang Lin had already made up his mind that once he reaches the late stage of soul transformation and reaches the peak of the late stage of the nascent soul stage, he will take the demon soldiers and rob all the cultivators he meets to collect celestial jades. How about it? If Wang Daoyu agrees, then I can give you the celestial jades you need to reach the late stage of soul transformation. As for the rest, I'll give it to you as soon as I return. Yao Shishue immediately said. Wang Lin pondered for a long time and then asked, "What kind of restriction is that?" "I don't know the name of the formation, but once it is activated, a wheel will appear. There are 18 seals inside, and I can only break the 11th one. With your help, I believe I should be able to break them all." Most of what Yao Shishue said was true, but there was one thing she didn't say. Although she didn't know the name of the formation, she knew that once you break it, you will be separated from life and death. If you break it, you will live, and if you fail, you will die. She had failed 4 times, which meant she had died 4 times. She had used up 4 extremely precious blood soul pills that her father, the blood ancestor, had risked his life to obtain. Only Sher San had one of these pills. Most of them were in Yao Shishue's hands. Wang Lin pondered for a long time before his eyes narrowed and he asked, "Where is this formation?" Yao Shishue pondered a bit and said, "Before Wang Daoyu agrees, I can't say more. I can tell fellow cultivator that this formation requires a special treasure to enter. Aside from me, no one else should be able to enter. This woman is hiding a lot from me, but celestial jades are very important to me. If I have enough celestial jades, I'm confident I can reach the late stage of soul transformation in a short period of time. Although I also need to comprehend the heavens to reach the ascendant stage, with celestial jades, I won't have to worry about that. However, I can't easily agree. I want to see where her bottom line is." Wang Lin pondered a bit and shook his head. "I need to consider this matter. I'll give fellow cultivator an answer in 4 months. Today, 3 a.m. Seeking votes, seeking motivation." Chapter 552. Yao Shishue furrowed her brows. She felt that she was already extremely sincere. She had already said everything that needed to be said, and the reward she offered was also extremely generous. She even forcefully suppressed her temper in order to obtain the other party's help. However, right now, this Wang Lin kept evading, which made her feel a bit impatient. However, without this person's help, she would have to wait until she reached the ascendant stage to break the restriction. Although she didn't lack celestial jades, she still hadn't made any progress in comprehending the heavens. Comprehending the heavens Tao could take a long or short amount of time, so no one knew when she would comprehend it. Also, this matter couldn't be allowed to be known by the natives here, or else it would cause a catastrophe. After thinking about it, she felt that only this Wang Lin was the most suitable candidate. In particular, after Wang Lin entered the demonic path and battled the demon general, she, who had personally witnessed Wang Lin's strength, was even more certain that with his help, she would be able to break the remaining restrictions. Yao Shishue looked at Wang Lin and pondered a bit. With her cunning, she recalled Wang Lin's words from before and somewhat understood what he meant. These 4 months were just a bargaining chip for him to get more revenge. There was a flash of contempt in her heart, so her tone naturally became cold as she said, "What else do you want? More celestial jades? Magical treasures? Cultivation methods?" Wang Lin didn't mind her tone at all and calmly said, "Wang doesn't lack magical treasures or cultivation methods. Celestial jades that can be converted into more are naturally the best." The contempt in Yao Shishue's heart became even stronger and she said, There are a lot of celestial jades in my father's blood ancestors' cave. I'll give you a blood token. Once you leave this demon spirit land, you can go get it yourself." Wang Lin nodded and said, "That's fine, but this matter is very dangerous, so I still need to consider it." Yao Shishue's expression suddenly became cold, and she coldly said, "How long do you need to consider?" Wang Lin calmly said, 3 months. "You!" Yao Shishue flew into a rage. With a flick of her sleeve, the door to the loft immediately opened. She turned around and walked out with a cold expression. "I won't be sending you off," Wang Lin said calmly. Yao Shishue took half a step out of the pavilion. She took a deep breath and gritted her teeth. She touched her bag of holding and took out a wax pellet. She turned to look at Wang Lin, her eyes filled with coldness. "I'll give this to you. Leave with me in 3 days. If you don't agree, then I'll drop the matter." Wang Lin's eyes narrowed as he looked at the wax pellet in Yao Shishue's hand. This item looked extremely ordinary, and there was nothing special about it. However, as Wang Lin looked at it, he immediately discovered rows of fine runes on the surface of the wax pellet. These runes flickered strangely, unexpectedly matching the frequency of Yao Shishue's breathing and heartbeat. "What is this?" Wang Lin asked in a deep voice. Yao Shishue didn't hide the contempt in her eyes and said, "You don't even know about this item? No wonder you just became Tian Yunzi's disciple. This item is unique to my father, the blood ancestor. It is called the Blood Soul Pill." Blood Soul Pill? This was the first time Wang Lin had heard of this pill, but his expression didn't change at all. He didn't know that if the other cultivators on planet Tian Yun heard of this pill, they would go crazy. The value of this pill was impossible to estimate. This pill is called the Blood Soul Pill. It is not a delicacy, but it leaves an imprint on your origin soul and flesh. Even if your origin soul is destroyed, you can revive once. To be more accurate, this pill can replace death. Yao Shishue's voice was cold. Wang Lin's expression finally changed. He waved his right hand and the pill left Yao Shishue's hand and landed in his. Yao Shishue already knew that he would personally check it, so she didn't stop him. She let the pill leave her hand. She looked at Wang Lin's expression and sneered in her heart. Although this pill was also a blood soul pill, it was a waste pill. It was a blood soul pill that his father had created to prevent others from seizing it, and it did indeed contain blue blood within it. However, there were too many impurities and toxins within the composition of the blood. Besides him and his daughter, no one else was able to distinguish the authenticity of the pill. As a result, there was no need to fear anyone stealing it. If he placed all his hopes on a waste pill, then he would be throwing away half of his life. Wang Lin held the wax pill and immediately noticed that the frequency of the runes on the wax pill suddenly changed to match his own heartbeat. It was obvious that the person who held this pill would have a different frequency. Holding the pill, Wang Lin suddenly felt like his blood was connected to it. It was as if this pill was a part of his body. This feeling was extremely strong. Wang Lin took a deep breath, looked up at Yao Shishue and said, "Give me the celestial jades." Yao Shishue didn't say anything. She took out a bag of holding and threw it forward. She said, "This is enough celestial jades for you to cultivate to the late stage of soul transformation. As for the rest, I'll give it to you when we return. 3 days later, when the purple demon rises, come find me at Mount Gu." Wang Lin pondered for a while. After a while, he slowly said, "Sure." Yao Shishue smiled and turned to leave. She wasn't afraid that Wang Lin would go back on his word after taking the item. She didn't care about the celestial jades, and she didn't care about the pill either. Wang Lin's gaze was still on Yao Shishue. It wasn't until she disappeared into the distance that he withdrew his gaze and began to ponder. This woman is quite carefree. She's not afraid that I'll go back on my word. However, carefree people must have their reasons. I'm afraid that this woman doesn't care about celestial jades at all. To give away such a large amount of celestial jades means that her father, the blood ancestor, has a lot of celestial jades. However, this blood soul pill is a bit strange. If this pill is really as effective as she said, there shouldn't be too many of them. They must be extremely precious, comparable to a real celestial spell. In order to get my help, she actually took out one. If I was her, even if I gave it to her, I would have tampered with it. Wang Lin let out a cold smile and muttered to himself, I'm not sure. Yao Shishue, if you weren't so carefree, Wang would at most be suspicious, but now I'm certain that there is a problem with this blood soul pill. His eyes lit up as he touched his bag of holding and a normal soul flag appeared in his hand. With a wave of his hand, Wang Lin shouted, Chao Ito. A black fog immediately appeared in the soul scroll. As it filled the air, it turned into a person. This person was the guide that Wang Lin had found for him in Suzaku Chao Ito. The moment Chao Ito appeared, he immediately prostrated on the ground and respectfully said, Greetings, Master. Wang Lin didn't waste time with him and directly asked, Do you know about the blood ancestor? After Chao Ito heard the words, blood ancestor, his expression immediately changed. It took him a long time to recover and he quickly said, I know. The blood ancestor's name is known to all cultivators on planet Tianyun. Rumor has it that he challenged Tianyunzi 7 times, and although he lost every time, his cultivation level became higher and higher. Rumor has it that he is the 3rd most powerful person on planet Tianyun after Tianyunzi and Marquis Ling Tian. Although this is just a rumor, it shows how high his cultivation level is. Wang Lin pondered a bit and then asked, Have you heard of the blood soul pill? Blood soul pill. Chao Ito immediately became excited. This was the first time Wang Lin had seen this kind of excitement on him. Even when Wang Lin promised him a soul transformation body, Chao Ito wasn't this excited. Master, this blood soul pill is one of the top 3 treasures on planet Tianyun. This pill can steal the fortune of the heavens and change one's fate. It can allow a cultivator to resurrect from the dead. This is something unique to the blood ancestor, and no one knows how he obtained it. Chao Ito was very excited and spoke a lot faster. Wang Lin opened his right hand. There was a wax pill in his palm, and there were demonic runes flashing on it. Do you recognize this thing? Chao Ito was startled as he carefully looked at the wax pill. After a while, his expression changed greatly and he muttered to himself, It is completely covered in white lizard beast wax and has 3,614 runes carved on it. It flashes according to the frequency of the person's heart. It feels like the flesh and blood of the person holding it. Master, am I right? Wang Lin's expression remained the same and he nodded. Chao Ito suppressed the excitement in his heart and quickly said, Master, please drip a drop of blood on it. Wang Lin hesitated for a bit before biting the tip of his finger. He squeezed out a drop of blood and dripped it on the wax pill. The moment the blood dripped on the pill, a ray of blue light came from the wax pill. After 3 breaths of time, the blue light disappeared. The runes under the white lizard beast wax flashes and the drop of blood appears. That's right, this is the blood soul pill. Chao Ito stared at the wax pill with a strong sense of greed in his eyes. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy as he looked at the wax pill and slowly said, Chao Ito, with your cultivation level, how high was your status back at the sect on planet Tianyun? Chao Ito acted as if he didn't hear Wang Lin's words. Everything he was thinking about was the blood soul pill. This pill was very important to him. He vaguely remembered the rumor that if a soul ate the blood soul pill, it could even form a new body. Seeing this person's expression, Wang Lin frowned and let out a cold snort. This snort entered Chao Ito's soul and made him feel as if cold water had been poured over his head. After hearing Wang Lin's question, he was startled and self-deprecatingly said, My status wasn't high, or else I wouldn't have been arranged by Serene to be possessed by Suzaku. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he said, "If your status isn't high, then why do you know so much about the blood soul pill? You even know how to tell if it's real or fake." Chao Ito was startled once more and wryly smiled. "Master, almost everyone on planet Tian Yun knows how to tell if it's real or fake. This method is not a secret." Wang Lin nodded. He waved the soul flag and put Chao Ito away. He looked at the blood soul pill in his hand and his expression became even more gloomy. "If this thing is so precious, then why is the method to tell if it's real or fake? I fear this is a scheme by someone with ulterior motives. The blood ancestor is indeed worthy of being an old monster that has cultivated for many years. With one move, he was able to resolve the crisis of having a treasure on him. If I were him, I would have done the same." Wang Lin squeezed the wax pill in his hand. His eyes were filled with clarity. 1 hour and he only added 1 vote. How miserable! Chapter 553. With Chao Ito's status, it was strange that he knew how to identify the blood soul pill. Not to mention that he once said that almost every cultivator knew how to identify the blood soul pill. With this, Wang Lin could clearly conclude that all of this was part of the blood ancestor's plan. Combining Yao Shishue's carefree attitude and Chao Ito's answer, I can confirm that there are real and fake blood soul pills. However, I'm afraid that apart from the blood ancestor's daughter, no one else knows how to tell the difference. Wang Lin's eyes flashed with wisdom. This pill is fake. A real pill can help a person regain their life. A fake pill should help a person die. Yao Shishue, since you are so vicious, don't blame Wang for being merciless. Wang Lin looked at the wax pill in his hand. He was about to crush it, but he had an idea and put it into his storage pouch. Wang Lin had been cultivating for hundreds of years. The reason he was able to survive until now and reach a level no weaker than Zhong Shentong was because of his scheming. When he was still at the core formation stage, the 8th Extreme Demon Lord had said that he was vicious, bold, decisive, and merciless. He was also brave, meticulous, determined, and as cunning as a fox. These words clearly pointed out what was in Wang Lin's heart. Just by looking at Yao Shishue's expression and Chao Ito's ordinary words, he was able to come up with such an answer. Even among those cultivators who had lived for thousands of years, very few could do this. Only those old monsters who had cultivated for tens of thousands of years and could see through everyone's hearts would be able to do this. It was just like back in Suzaku, when Wang Lin saw through Lu Mei's thousand illusion merciless path through the different personalities of the 2 female disciples. Although the heavens didn't give Wang Lin the best cultivation talent, Wang Lin had gained wisdom through the years. These 7 blades contained karma, but they also contained the Tao of balance. Wang Lin waved his right hand and the bag of holding left behind by Yao Shishu flew into his hand. He scanned it with his divine sense. The celestial jades inside were enough for him to absorb until the late stage of soul transformation. 3 days. Wang Lin took a deep breath. Without a word, his left hand pressed down on the ground. There was a flash of black light and he disappeared into the ground. Deep underground, Wang Lin sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. He was surrounded by the celestial jades from Yao Shishue's bag of holding. These celestial jades were being crazily absorbed by him and turned into jade dust. To reach the late stage of soul transformation required a large amount of celestial jade. Wang Lin didn't rest at all. He was completely focused on absorbing celestial spiritual energy. Wang Lin didn't have time to absorb the celestial spiritual energy into his body. Instead, he used the structure of the demon crystal to accumulate celestial spiritual energy. He had studied demon crystals for a long time in the soul refining tribe and knew their structure like the back of his hand. Since demon spiritual energy could be crystallized, then celestial spiritual energy could be crystallized as well. Before, he didn't want to waste celestial jades to try, but now he had enough celestial jade. Under Wang Lin's attempts, a large amount of celestial spiritual energy began to change. After a while, a celestial crystal that looked exactly like a demon crystal but emitted celestial spiritual energy condensed inside Wang Lin's body. The amount of celestial spiritual energy contained in this celestial crystal was equivalent to 1/10 of the celestial jades in Yao Shishue's bag of holding. He continued to absorb it. 3 days later, on another day when the purple demon rose, Yao Shishue suddenly stood on top of the drum mountain 1,000 miles away from the army camp. The moonlight in the sky was filled with specks of purple. When the moonlight fell on the ground, it gave off a strange feeling. Yao Shishue looked into the distance with a hint of anxiety in her eyes. The time is almost up. Could it be that this person is going to go back on his word? Yao Shishue frowned. Suddenly, a ray of light flew over like lightning from the horizon. Yao Shishue's eyes lit up. The ray of light was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it arrived. After a brief pause, it landed on the top of the mountain and turned into Wang Lin. Like Yao Shishue, Wang Lin was also wearing a white robe. His hair fluttered in the wind, giving him a sense of elegance. "You're right on time. I'm going to activate the formation to prevent anyone from noticing this place." As Yao Shishue spoke, she slapped her bag of holding and took out several blood-colored statues. These statues weren't large, only 3 inches tall. They were carved with ferocious beasts that Wang Lin had never seen before. A bloody aura slowly spread out from them. Yao Shishue formed a seal with her hands and muttered an incantation. She then bit the tip of her tongue and drew a rune in the air. With a slap, the rune immediately grew until it was 100 zhang wide and imprinted on the ground of the drum mountain. At the same time, the statues moved on their own, occupying 7 spots in the surroundings. Following a burst of blood-colored light, they merged into the ground. The moment the statues merged into the ground, a strange force suddenly appeared on the drum mountain. Wang Lin carefully looked at the rune. The rune was only a guide. The real thing was the 7 statues. This force was invisible. If Wang Lin wasn't within 100 zhang of it, he wouldn't be able to sense it. Wang Lin spread out his divine sense and was shocked to find that he couldn't see himself. This was the first time Wang Lin had seen something like this in his entire life of cultivation. It was as if his divine sense was a foreign will that he could control, but no matter what he did, he couldn't find himself on the drum mountain. This scene was like a mortal looking into a mirror. He could see everything in the mirror, but he couldn't see himself in the mirror. There's no need to try. Only those with the cultivation of a martial will be able to sense this formation. Yao Shishue said coldly. Wang Lin withdrew his divine sense. He was extremely impressed by the formation and said, "Was this formation created by your father, the blood ancestor?" "That's right." As Yao Shishue spoke, she touched her storage bag and a blood-colored compass appeared in her hand. She calculated the location and placed it on the ground. She turned to Wang Lin and said, "Remember our agreement. When the purple demon's glow is at its peak, the compass will emit a bloody glow. There's only one danger, so you must follow closely behind me." Wang Lin nodded without saying anything. Yao Shishue pondered for a moment before saying, "When we return, I'll give you the rest of the immortal jades and the blood hall medallion. I'll also give you the correct method to use the blood soul pill." As he spoke, the purple intent of the demonic moon in the sky became even denser. It was like a heavenly dog swallowing the moon in the mortal world. The purple intent instantly filled the air, and at this moment, it was as though the entire earth was covered in purple. The sky and the ground were covered in purple. At the same time, the compass on the ground immediately emitted a thick bloody glow. The bloody glow was like a sharp sword piercing through the purple light. Although it was tiny compared to the purple glow, it was extremely tough. "Let's go." Yao Shishua let out a roar and immediately stepped forward, merging with the bloody glow. Wang Lin's eyes flickered with a cold light. He quickly followed behind Yao Shishua and entered the bloody glow. The instant the two of them entered, the blood-red light dissipated along with the compass on the ground. The purple glow on the ground gradually dissipated, until it completely disappeared into the demonic moon. The purple demon's rise that occurred once every 6 months passed by once more. Wang Lin had experienced transfer arrays too many times, so he had a strong resistance to the discomfort inside. The moment he entered the bloody glow, he immediately noticed that it was a point-to-point transfer array. This meant that the location Yao Shishua mentioned had a transfer point set up by someone. As a result, as long as the transfer point was activated, one could enter from anywhere. However, it was obvious that the transfer array could only be done inside the demon spirit land. After a brief moment of discomfort, Wang Lin saw the bloody marks under his feet. They were moving like blood and formed a formation. Yao Shishua recovered half a breath slower than Wang Lin. After she recovered, the bloody marks under her feet had already disappeared. The trajectory of this formation is similar to the statue's formation, so it was clearly made by the same person. The blood ancestor is indeed not ordinary to be able to place a transfer array here. However, if I have time, I can also place a transfer array. Wang Lin calmly looked around. This was a place that seemed like a starry sky. There was no distinction between the sky and the earth. There were only pieces of resplendent starlight. Under the illumination of this light, one could clearly see the surroundings. There was a small path about 100 feet wide that led into the distance. There was no earth here, so this small path floated in the starry sky. It wasn't fixed, but there was a pattern to it. Wang Lin was standing on a platform about 1,000 feet wide. The formation was hidden on this platform. From Wang Lin's point of view, Yao Shishua had come here many times. She sat down on the platform and said to Wang Lin, "Focus and cultivate. Comprehend your domain and obtain the qualification mark. Only then can you step onto the path of a venerable beast." She didn't say much and closed her eyes to cultivate. Wang Lin looked around and walked forward. He stopped at the winding path in the distance and looked at it with rapt attention. With one look, Wang Lin's pupils shrank. What kind of path was this? It was clearly a dragon-like beast that was impossible to estimate. Thinking back to what Yao Shishua said, this beast was obviously a venerable beast. There is no record of this beast in ancient god Tusi's memories. If he didn't know about it, then it must have appeared after him. What kind of place is this for such a beast to appear? This place obviously didn't appear out of thin air. Someone must have set it up with a spell. Who could have the spell to use this beast's body as a path? Wang Lin sucked in a breath of cold air. His eyes lit up and he pondered for a bit. He looked back at Yao Shishua and thought, "I need to find a way to find out everything about this place from this woman." He pondered for a bit. He sat cross-legged on the platform and calmed his mind. Just as he was about to merge his domain with it, a thought suddenly flashed through his mind like lightning. Send it at midnight, ask for a monthly ticket. Chapter 554. Rumor has it that the demon spirit land was formed by a celestial emperor's cave. Could everything here have been arranged by that celestial emperor? Wang Lin pondered a bit. He looked around and no longer thought about this matter. He calmed his heart and began to comprehend his own domain. The life and death reincarnation cycle. Before Wang Lin entered the demon spirit land, he had already comprehended his domain. At this moment, his mind was immersed in his domain. It was as if his left hand was life and his right hand was death. What flowed between them was the eternal river of time. Although he was immersed in his domain, Wang Lin didn't let down his guard at all. He split off a portion of his divine sense to surround his body. If Yao Shishue made any moves, he would immediately notice. Wang Lin was very cunning. If he could split his divine sense, then Yao Shishue would naturally think of this as well. This was not a good time to make a move. While he was comprehending, the shadow of the life and death scroll gradually appeared inside Wang Lin's body. As he comprehended, Wang Lin gradually entered a state of emptiness. Everything around him was clearly displayed in his mind. He could vaguely sense a mysterious force descending from the sky and gathering on the platform. This power quietly gathered around Yao Shishue and rotated around her body. Wang Lin's mind moved and he immediately placed all of his attention on the mysterious power. As the mysterious power circled around Yao Shishue, it quickly gathered between Yao Shishue's eyebrows. At this instant, a ray of golden light shined between Yao Shishue's eyebrows. After 3 breaths of time, the golden light dissipated and Yao Shishue opened her eyes. There were golden runes flashing in her eyes. These runes were formed by 3 strokes. Although they were complex, it was possible to see their trajectory. Yao Shishue's eyes contained the golden runes. When Wang Lin met her gaze, his heart trembled violently. It was as if lightning had flashed across his mind and thunder had exploded in his ears. He felt like he had met Toa Sun back then. At this moment, it was as if Yao Shishue was no longer a late-stage soul transformation cultivator but a supreme celestial sovereign that he couldn't resist. This feeling was very strong. It was like a huge wave hitting Wang Lin. Even Tian Yunzi couldn't make Wang Lin's heart tremble like this. Wang Lin was greatly shaken, but his Tao heart was firm. He immediately noticed the difference. The source of this pressure wasn't Yao Shishue, but the golden runes in her eyes. Wang Lin took a deep breath and forcibly suppressed the shock in his heart. He no longer paid attention to Yao Shishue and instead focused on comprehending the heavenly Tao. He clearly remembered that there were no runes in Yao Shishue's eyes before. It was obvious that all of this had something to do with the mysterious force that had appeared without a sound. Yao Shishue's eyes opened for a moment, then she closed them again and began to silently cultivate. Wang Lin was immersed in the heavenly Tao of life and death. Scenes from the past flashed through his mind. He knew about life and death. He understood what life was and what death was. He opened the life and death reincarnation scroll. Finally, he understood the concept of the human body. All of these scenes flashed through Wang Lin's mind. After an unknown amount of time, the mysterious force appeared again on the platform. Yao Shishue's eyes sprang open, which emitted a blinding golden glow. She stared into the rift with a calm expression. The mysterious force appeared in an instant and circled Wang Lin's figure. At that instant, Wang Lin's mind entered a strange state, as if he was dreaming. He felt like he was in an illusionary world, with figures flashing past his eyes. He could not see anything clearly, but it felt like he could see everything clearly. This conflicting feeling made him feel slightly uncomfortable. In addition to that, he could hear a mumble of a man or a woman in his ears, as if it was telling him something, but when he tried to listen carefully, he could not hear anything. The feeling lasted for a long time, so long that Wang Lin even forgot the concept of time. The voice in his ears gradually grew louder, and the figures in front of him slowly became clearer. Just as everything was about to become clear, everything before him disappeared like an illusion. At the moment everything disappeared, Wang Lin seized this opportunity. Taking advantage of the moment everything was about to become clear, his eyes lit up and the last remaining slaughter seal condensed on his ears. "I am Qing Lin." A clear voice rang out beside his ear. However, this voice only lasted for an instant before it vanished into thin air along with everything in front of him. Wang Lin took advantage of this opportunity. If he had used the life brand before, he would not have been able to hear this voice. Only when everything became clear and finally dissipated could he use the life brand to do this. He did not choose to look, but chose to listen to the voice. That was because the voice could convey more real information than looking. As for viewing, the majority of it was subjective thoughts. The moment everything disappeared, Wang Lin seemed to wake up from a dream. He opened his eyes, and a golden light flickered in his pupils. This lasted for 6 breaths of time before the golden light dissipated. At the same time, a golden rune appeared in his eyes. This rune was made up of 6 strokes and looked extremely complicated. Yao Shishue's expression was unsightly. She had not expected Wang Lin to obtain the 6-stroke golden rune during his enlightenment. She couldn't help but let out a cold snort in her heart. The moment Wang Lin opened his eyes, he immediately noticed that when he looked at Yao Shishue, even though there were still golden runes in her eyes, the previous irresistible majesty was no longer there. In fact, for some reason, he felt like he was looking down on her. Wang Lin's gaze caused Yao Shishue to feel extremely uncomfortable. Without thinking about it, she evaded it and said coldly, "Now that you have the qualifications to become a golden rune, you can step onto the revered dragon path. Let's go." With that, she stepped onto the revered dragon path and proceeded forward. Even she herself did not notice that when the golden rune in her eyes met Wang Lin's gaze, it dimmed. It was like a firefly meeting the bright moon. Although they were both bright, it was only natural that the golden rune would be dim in comparison. Wang Lin placed his hand in front of him. When his gaze fell onto his palm, a rune was clearly projected onto it. This golden rune, what exactly is it? Wang Lin thought for a moment. He took a step forward, arrived on the revered dragon path, and began to slowly walk forward. Below the revered dragon path was an endless abyss of space. Although it was impossible to tell if one would survive if they fell, just the feeling in one's heart would be enough to cause one's heart to tremble. The revered dragon path slowly floated left and right. If a mortal stood on it, they would be scared out of their wits. However, for cultivators, this kind of swaying didn't affect them at all. The 2 of them, one in front and one behind, were extremely fast as they walked along the small path into the distance. There seemed to be no end to the path. 3 days later, the 2 of them did not stop to rest, but the path continued to extend forward. Yao Shishue's expression was the same as ever. She had come here many times, so she naturally knew that they had only covered 1/3 of the path. A few days later, another huge platform appeared in front of the revered dragon path. On this platform stood an object. It was a stone statue that was about 3 meters tall. It stood in the center of the platform. The statue had a humanoid shape, but its ears and arms were extremely large. On the revered dragon path, Yao Shishue stopped. She turned around to look at Wang Lin and said, "This place is the first layer of the seal. You and I will each break 1 layer. I will break the first layer, and you will break the second layer." "Sure." Wang Lin's expression was the same as ever as he calmly said. Yao Shishue didn't waste any more time and quickly jumped onto the platform like lightning. The moment she charged onto the platform, a ray of golden light came from her eyes. This golden light contained the golden rune. At this moment, the golden rune followed Yao Shishue's gaze and landed on the stone statue. The stone statue's entire body shook and a cloud of white gas rose up. Immediately after, its eyes suddenly opened, revealing a merciless light. It lifted its foot and took a step forward. With a boom, the entire platform immediately began to tremble. A powerful killing intent immediately spread out as the stone statue took a step. Yao Shishue's body floated in the air. She had dealt with this stone statue several times, so she was very familiar with it. She touched her bag of holding and a jade appeared in her hand. This jade was completely blood-red and was very different from normal jade. Seal. With one word, Yao Shishue threw out the jade talisman in her hand. The jade talisman shattered in midair and turned into a dense, blood-colored light that shrouded the stone statue. Under the crimson light, the stone statue seemed to be covered in a layer of crimson clothing. It was imprisoned in place, and no matter how much it struggled, it was unable to break the seal of the crimson clothing. Yao Shishue's beautiful body gently landed on the ground. She looked back at Wang Lin and then walked toward the other side of the platform. There was also a dragon that appeared. Wang Lin's pupils shrank. This statue's cultivation level was no weaker than an early-stage soul transformation cultivator's. Although it wasn't very agile, the power of its stomp was very strong. If it were to use its spells or go all out, it wouldn't be easy to deal with. But now, it had been easily sealed by Yao Shishue. This scene caused Wang Lin to have a completely new understanding of this woman. That blood-red jade was obviously refined by her father, the blood ancestor. That's why it has such a powerful spell, thought Wang Lin to himself. He didn't let his thoughts show on his face as he leaped onto the platform. As he walked past the sealed stone statue, he saw a flash of golden light from the corner of his eye. Wang Lin's expression didn't reveal anything, nor did he stop walking. When he reached the other side of the platform, he casually looked back. The moment he did, the life brand on his forehead condensed in his eyes. His gaze pierced through the blood-red robe and saw the flickering magical symbol on the stone statue. The magical symbol was only one stroke, but it was very clear. Today, I went to the hospital for a follow-up. Because I smoked too much, my recovery wasn't very good. I had an afternoon injection, and when I got home, I was in very bad shape. After writing this chapter, I felt a bit powerless. Tonight, I might only write this one chapter. If I feel better, I'll try to write more, but I can't guarantee anything. I know that these last 2 days are critical for the monthly votes, so I won't go against myself. Please understand. But tomorrow I can promise to write 3 chapters. If I'm in good shape, I'll write 4 chapters. But I can't promise that. Chapter 555. After clearly seeing the tattoo, Wang Lin turned around. The life seal had already disappeared, so his expression was normal and no one could see anything wrong with him. Yao Shishue was already far away, and Wang Lin was following behind her. The rune that he had just seen appeared in his mind. The path of the rune was similar to the 3-stroke rune in Yao Shishue's eyes. It was even the same as the golden rune in his eyes. As Wang Lin walked, he raised his right hand and looked at the center of his palm. The 6-stroke rune appeared once again. This rune is quite interesting. This 1-stroke rune seems to be a foundation. Whether it's Yao Shishue's 3-stroke rune or the 6-stroke rune in my eyes, they both contain this rune. His eyes flickered and he casually waved his right hand to draw the rune in the air. His finger was filled with celestial energy, but after drawing the rune, there was no reaction from the celestial energy in his body. Wang Lin pondered a bit and memorized the symbol. He no longer pondered it, but his eyes revealed a mysterious light as he looked at Yao Shishue in the distance. This girl has the blood soul pill. Even if I sneak attack her, she can still come back to life. It will be a bit difficult to kill her. 7 days later, another platform appeared in front of the revered dragon path. The size of this platform was almost the same as the previous 2, and there was also a stone statue in the center of the platform. Even the appearance of this stone statue was similar to the previous ones. The only difference was that there was a half-closed third eye between the stone statue's eyebrows. At the end of the platform, Yao Shishue turned her head to look at Wang Lin. Although she didn't say anything, her thoughts were expressed through her actions. Wang Lin wasn't a sloppy person. He knew that it wasn't the right time to have a falling out with the other party. At the very least, he had to wait until he understood everything here. He took a step forward, passed by Yao Shishue, and landed on the platform. The moment he landed on the platform, he immediately closed his eyes. At the same time, a life seal appeared in his eyes and sealed them. After doing all of this, He landed on the platform and sealed his eyes with a life seal. This was Wang Lin's first experiment. He wanted to see if the golden rune could pass through his eyes. The golden rune didn't pass through, but the moment Wang Lin landed on the platform, the stone statue trembled and opened its eyes. Its eyes revealed a fierce glow as it let out a roar and charged forward. The life seal immediately spread out from his eyes and covered his entire body. At the same time, Wang Lin retreated a few steps and circled around like a dragon. The stone statue roared and charged forward in pursuit of Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was the same as ever as he waved his right hand in the air. Green light flickered as a simple restriction appeared in his hand. As he moved, he tossed the restriction behind him, causing it to grow in size until it was dozens of meters wide, blocking the path of the stone statue. The stone statue's body didn't stop at all. It directly collided with the restriction. The restriction was like a broken mirror. It immediately shattered into countless pieces and scattered in all directions. Wang Lin's eyes flickered with interest. Although the restriction he had just used was just a test, it was incorporeal. Unless the stone statue also encountered a similar restriction, it shouldn't have shattered like that. This stone statue is definitely covered in restrictions. Using brute force to break it isn't the right way to do it. Wang Lin's hand formed a seal and countless restrictions flew out from his hand and closed in on the stone statue. The stone statue let out a roar as it jumped forward and threw a punch. This punch shattered countless restrictions, and at the same time, a powerful force shot through the void toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin touched his bag of holding and the restriction flag appeared in his hand. With a shake of his hand, the force from the restriction flag entered the flag and disappeared. Wang Lin's restriction flag had already reached 999 sets over the past hundreds of years. However, what he found strange was that the divine retribution still hadn't arrived. These 999 groups of restrictions were all single-target restrictions. When they were swung around, they were extremely powerful. However, as Wang Lin's cultivation level increased, it became clear that this restriction flag wasn't enough. Wang Lin was thinking about how to increase the power of the restriction flag by another level and increase it to 999 set. However, increasing it by 10 times would require too many single-target restrictions. With Wang Lin's knowledge, he wasn't able to control that many restrictions. At this moment, there were large amounts of restrictions flashing in his eyes. These restrictions continued to combine and split in his mind. His speed increased, preventing the stone statue from closing in. Every time the stone statue was about to get close, Wang Lin would wave the restriction flag in his hand, and a large amount of restrictions would fly out, forming walls of restrictions to stop the stone statue from getting closer. After being stopped several times, the stone statue let out an earth-shattering roar. It no longer chased and instead stood in place. Then it stomped down, causing the entire platform to tremble. At the same time, as Wang Lin moved around, stone spikes shot out from the ground like sharp swords. Wang Lin was already prepared for the stone statue's spell. His hand formed a seal and his body flickered to dodge the spikes. However, these sharp thorns were like bamboo shoots after the rain, rising and falling one after another. In the blink of an eye, the entire platform was filled with sharp thorns. Almost in an instant, except for the center, the entire platform was covered with stone thorns. Wang Lin's body charged into the sky. While he was in the air, the restrictions in his eyes flashed even faster. His gaze never left the stone statue. As he continued to deduce, his eyes suddenly lit up. At this moment, the image of the stone statue in his eyes changed greatly. In his eyes, this wasn't a stone statue at all. It was clearly a restriction formed by layers of restrictions stacked on top of each other. The entire body of the stone statue was covered in restrictions. The moment Wang Lin saw the true nature of the stone statue, the spikes on the platform all broke off from their root. They were like rootless spikes or a rain of spikes that shot toward Wang Lin. With Wang Lin's cultivation level, if he used a treasure or the 3 killing moves, he wouldn't have wasted so much time. However, Wang Lin's goal wasn't to break it by force, but to understand it thoroughly. In Wang Lin's eyes, the spikes charging at him were all restrictions. As long as they were restrictions, he wouldn't be afraid. It could be said that ever since Wang Lin reached the core formation stage, he had been studying restrictions. Aside from those old monsters that had lived for more than 10,000 years, no one could compare to him in terms of understanding restrictions. His expression was calm as he waved the restriction flag and countless restrictions flew out. These restrictions were arranged according to a strange pattern within Wang Lin's body. The tens of thousands of spikes were mercilessly broken down and turned into a part of the restrictions. After the restriction flag absorbed these restrictions, its aura increased greatly. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he immediately landed. His right hand pointed at the sky and the restrictions inside the restriction flag immediately wrapped around the stone statue like a tornado. Before Wang Lin's body landed on the ground, he turned into a cloud of green smoke and moved around the statue in the opposite direction of the restrictions. His hands continued to move and new restrictions were absorbed by the statue. Looking from afar, the stone statue on the platform was surrounded by countless restrictions. No matter how it struggled and roared, the restrictions seemed to penetrate its body and enter its body through the cracks in the stone. Break, 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 break. Wang Lin's body suddenly stopped and he let out 4 roars. These 4 shouts immediately caused the countless restrictions around the statue to surge forward. The statue's body began to rapidly change and collapse at a visible rate. This stone statue was formed by restrictions, and the restrictions that formed its body had already collapsed. As the restrictions continued to fall off, the stone statue's body began to shrink layer by layer. At the moment of crisis, the stone statue immediately let out a violent roar, and the third eye between its brows suddenly opened. Immediately, a ray of golden light shot out from the third eye. In one flash, the restrictions that Wang Lin had placed were forced back and began to melt. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light. At the moment the golden light shined, he saw a golden rune in the statue's third eye. This rune was formed by 2 strokes. Restriction. Wang Lin let out a roar and spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood landed on the restrictions and absorbed his blood. The restrictions immediately charged forward and began to melt with the golden light. 2 breaths later, the golden light in the stone statue's third eye dissipated. At this moment, the stone statue was covered by an endless amount of restrictions. Its body trembled and the ruthless light in its eyes dissipated. What replaced it was a dull gray color. Shortly after, its body suddenly collapsed. As it collapsed, restrictions came out from its body and turned into black gas that spread out in all directions. The entire platform became a world of black gas. Within this black gas, a golden rune appeared and was about to disappear into the void. At this moment, Wang Lin suddenly had a flash of inspiration. He subconsciously raised his right hand and drew a rune with his index finger. This rune was the same rune from the first layer of the seal on the statue. After drawing one line, Wang Lin didn't stop. He drew another line on top of the rune. These 2 lines intertwined and formed the golden rune that Wang Lin had seen in the statue's third eye. The moment this rune appeared, the rune that flew out from the statue immediately changed direction and flew toward Wang Lin. With a speed faster than lightning, it imprinted itself on the rune that Wang Lin had created. The 2 runes merged together and there was no distinction between them. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light. His index finger didn't stop and drew another line. With this line, it formed the 3 runes in Yao Shishue's eyes. When she heard everyone's words of comfort, she clenched her teeth and finished the chapter. At least she hadn't missed any updates today. Chapter 556. Everything happened extremely quickly. Under Yao Shishue's astonished gaze, the 3 strokes of the rune were completed. The moment the rune was completed, the immortal force in Wang Lin's body automatically circulated and merged with the rune through his finger. If one looked at these 3 strokes on their own, they wouldn't look abnormal. However, as they were drawn one by one, they looked perfect in Wang Lin's eyes. It was as if they contained the imprint of the heavens. Bursts of golden light burst out from the rune and illuminated the surroundings. The swirling black gas on the platform slowly dissipated into nothingness under the illumination of the golden light. Yao Shishue's eyes were filled with complicated emotions and astonishment. Although she had mentioned this place many times before, she was always in a hurry and did not want to waste time with the stone statues. She always used the blood jade that her father had given her to seal the rune. Although she had noticed the golden rune and tried to draw it in the air, she did not manage to completely shatter the stone statues, thus she was unable to absorb the rune like Wang Lin had done. As the immortal force entered the rune, Wang Lin's index finger paused for a moment. Although his expression remained calm, he could clearly feel that if he could not complete the 4th stroke, the perfection of the rune would immediately be broken or even crumble. Wang Lin was unable to draw the 4th stroke out of thin air. His eyes flickered as he placed his right index finger on the rune. He turned around and flicked his finger forward, firing the rune at Yao Shishue. Yao Shishue's expression changed as she immediately backed off. At the same time, she took out a few blood jade slips from her storage bag and crushed them one by one. As the blood-colored light surged, layers of blood-colored light directly covered the rune. This happened extremely quickly. When the blood-colored light fell on the rune, it immediately dissipated. Even so, the golden light of the rune dimmed slightly. Yao Shishue continuously retreated. Beads of sweat formed on her forehead as she continuously threw out blood-red jade slips. After 7 breaths of time, the golden light on the rune was finally covered by the blood-red color, and it completely dimmed. The rune dissipated amid the blood-colored light. Yao Shishue's expression was extremely gloomy. She had just thrown out 1/10 of the blood jades in her storage bag, enough to last her for 100 years. When the golden rune arrived, she felt as if she was facing someone from her father's generation. Wang Lin. Yao Shishue held onto the blood jade and waited for the rune to dissipate. She immediately charged toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression remained the same. The moment Yao Shishue arrived, his eyes flashed coldly. He touched his storage bag and a celestial sword appeared in his hand. He held it horizontally in front of him and calmly said, "Fellow cultivator Wang, the golden rune appeared too suddenly. I couldn't control it. If you want to fight with Wang Lin because of this, then Wang Lin will accompany you." Yao Shishue stared at Wang Lin with a dark gaze. Her eyes flickered with killing intent as she thought, since this person is here, unless I can break all the seals, there's no way for me to survive. If I fight him now, I'll be wasting my time. She coldly said, "Don't do it again." With that, she moved forward and directly bypassed Wang Lin. On the other side of the platform, she stepped onto the path to the 3rd seal. Wang Lin put away his celestial sword and unhurriedly followed behind. He looked at Yao Shishue, but his heart was not calm. The 3 strokes of the talisman actually have such power. According to Yao Shishue, there are a total of 18 levels here. If there is a talisman on each level, then there will be 18 talismans. If I draw all 18 talismans, how powerful would it be? What exactly are these talismans? Could it be a celestial art? Wang Lin took a deep breath and his right hand drew in the air. In an instant, 3 tattoos appeared. Unfortunately, there was nothing wrong with the celestial spiritual energy in his body. After the tattoos appeared, they immediately dissipated and no longer had the power they had before. Wang Lin frowned and pondered. A few days later, the 3rd platform came into view. This time, Yao Shishue directly charged toward the platform. It was still the same stone statue on the platform, but in addition to the third eye, there was also a long sword in the statue's hand. Yao Shishue changed the seal from before. This time, she didn't hesitate to use her spell to fight the stone statue. Wang Lin coldly observed from outside the platform. Most of Yao Shishue's spells were related to blood technique. When she waved her hand, a blood color would appear and the spell would be used. There was no suspense in the battle with the stone statue. With Yao Shishue's cultivation, the result was determined in half the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. However, even though the stone statue collapsed, no golden talisman flew out. Yao Shishue's expression became even darker. She stomped her foot and pressed down with her right hand, causing the collapsed stone statue to shatter into pieces. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed as he thought to himself, could it be that the runes will only merge with the stone statue after the seal is broken? Yao Shishue didn't even look at Wang Lin. She immediately jumped over the platform and continued forward. Time quickly passed. In the blink of an eye, 1 month had passed. During this month, Wang Lin was extremely idle. Yao Shishue didn't give Wang Lin any chance to make a move. After 2 unsuccessful attempts, she realized that her method wasn't right. Thinking back to how Wang Lin had obtained the golden talisman, she came to a realization. She was extremely afraid of the golden talisman. At this moment, in order to prevent Wang Lin from obtaining it, she took matters into her own hands. She didn't destroy the stone statue, but used blood jades to seal it. This was the method she had used the previous 3 times. On this day, after sealing the 11th stone statue, Yao Shishue's expression turned serious as she looked at the platform with the 12th seal. She looked at Wang Lin and said, Wang Daoyu, the 12th seal is very different from the previous one. We will need both of us to break it. This is also the reason why I invited you here. Wang Lin nodded. The platform in front of them was very different from the previous one. This platform was only half the size of the previous one. There were no stone statues on it, only a huge stone door. In addition, there was only the revered dragon path that the 2 of them were on. On the stone door, there were some blurry carvings that intersected with each other. They looked like a human face. Yao Shishue and Wang Lin landed on the platform. Just at this moment, the stone door suddenly opened and a cold wind blew out. Yao Shishue's body was instantly covered in blood-red light. Wang Lin took a few steps back and touched his bag of holding. He took out the restriction flag and wrapped it around his body. As the cold wind blew, the restriction flag around Wang Lin began to emit crackling sounds. Layers of ice began to condense around Wang Lin's body. In the blink of an eye, Wang Lin's body was covered in a thick layer of ice. As for Yao Shishue, there was also an ice statue around her body. However, there was a bright red glow inside the ice statue. After the cold wind passed, a white mist floated out from the stone door and condensed together in front of the stone door. It immediately took the shape of a human. This person was about 30 years old and had a cold expression on his face. He was dressed in white, and every movement he made had the air of an immortal. After he appeared, he coldly looked at the ice statue that Wang Lin and Yao Shishue were in. He didn't say anything, but his voice came out. Master's Cave. Without a token, no one is allowed to enter. The red light inside the ice sculpture that Yao Shishue was in immediately became denser. It was like a heat wave that spread from the inside out. Waves of white mist immediately spread out from the ice sculpture. In the blink of an eye, the ice sculpture melted and Yao Shishue walked out. You have come here many times and used the Blood Lord's cultivation method. Since you are his descendant, I let you off 3 times and allowed you to use the resurrection spell. However, you don't know what's good for you. This time, use the resurrection spell and scram. Otherwise, you won't have another chance. Although the middle-aged man's voice was calm, there was a sense of majesty in it. At this moment, the ice statue that Wang Lin was in gradually melted. Wang Lin walked out with a calm expression and coldly looked at the two of them. The middle-aged man's eyes were calm, and he didn't even look at Wang Lin. He only looked at Yao Shishue. Yao Shishue bowed and said, "Senior, you are an acquaintance of my ancestor. Why don't you let me off the hook? This cave has been abandoned for many years, and it would be a pity to abandon it. Why don't you help me?" The middle-aged man withdrew his gaze and said calmly, "Only those who can take 3 of my swords are qualified. Will the 2 of you be together or separately?" Yao Shishue's eyes lit up and she said, "The 2 of us will take 1 each. As for the last one, we will take it at the same time." The middle-aged man's eyes were still calm. Without saying a word, he casually pointed forward with his right hand and a golden light immediately gathered at the tip of his finger. "The first one, step forward. If you take it, you will live. If not, you will die." "Wang Daoyu." Yao Shishue looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin smiled and took 2 steps back. He shook his head and said, "Cultivator Yao's words are not true. I need to think about it." Yao Shishu looked at Wang Lin and said, "What's not true? This place doesn't have 18 layers of seals. If it really is a seal, then there are only 12 layers. Once you enter this door, you will enter the cave abode." Yao Shishue sneered. She had already expected that Wang Lin would change his mind at the last minute. She said calmly, "Wang Daoyu, there is something I forgot to tell you before. I hope you don't mind. However, it's not too late to tell you now. After entering this place and comprehending the golden seal, you have obtained the qualification to enter the cave abode. Once you obtain the qualification, you must succeed. Otherwise, only death awaits you. I've already told you, it's up to you whether you believe me or not." Wang Lin's expression was uncertain. After a while, he looked at Yao Shishue with a helpless expression and said with a bitter smile, "Cultivator Yao has the blood-soul pill, so of course she's not afraid. What a good plan." The middle-aged man looked at Wang Lin and Yao Shishue coldly, without any impatience. "If you can help me enter the cave abode, then you naturally won't have to worry about your life. Everything I promised you before will come true," Yao Shishue said. Wang Lin pondered a bit and then said, "Now that things have reached this point, I can help, but I want to know what exactly this place is." Yao Shishue smiled and said, "This place is a cave left behind by a celestial. Back then, my father accidentally learned from a demon emperor that this cave has been abandoned for many years. Many of its spells have disappeared, and only a sliver of the cave spirit's soul remains. Only after reaching the ascendant stage can one withstand 3 rays of sword energy. Okay, I have told you everything I need to tell you. Wang Daoyu, please make your move." Wang Lin said, "Only ascendant can withstand it. Wang is only at the mid-stage of soul transformation. Cultivator Yao thinks too highly of me." Yao Shishue's expression became cold and she said, "Wang Lin, you can't enter the cave. I have the blood-soul pill and can revive myself, but you will without a doubt die." Just at this moment, the middle-aged man that had been coldly looking at them suddenly said, "That's right, you two can't enter the cave. Today, both of you will die. If you want to live, you must enter the cave." Wang Lin pondered for a long time, then he took a step forward and said, "Senior, make your move." With that, he raised his right hand and pointed at the sky. The demonic intent that was sealed inside his body suddenly surged out and surrounded his body. At this moment, a thick, black fog spread out from Wang Lin's body. In the blink of an eye, his entire body was surrounded by the black fog. In Yao Shishue's eyes, this black fog was demonic energy. He immediately used the spell he used to fight against the demon general. He has obviously used all his strength. This is exactly what I want. Yao Shishue had already calculated that Wang Lin's cultivation level was only at the mid-stage of soul transformation. Even if she gave him enough celestial jades, it would be impossible for him to reach the late stage of soul transformation in 3 days. As a result, with his mid-stage soul transformation cultivation, even if he withstood 1 ray of sword energy, he would be seriously injured and would no longer be a threat. And she, with the method that her father had given her, was confident that she could withstand too. As a result, she had successfully fulfilled the requirements of the cave spirit. In the past, she had come here several times and used all her strength, but she could only withstand 2. The third one was fatal. The middle-aged man, who was the cave spirit, looked at Wang Lin, who was surrounded by the black fog. Without a word, he flicked his finger and a ray of golden light shot toward Wang Lin like lightning. Wang Lin let out a roar and the demonic energy around his body quickly gathered at the tip of his finger. In the blink of an eye, a large amount of the demonic energy around his body disappeared and gathered at his index finger. With one finger, the golden light closed in and collided with his index finger. The golden light was like an awl that cut through the demonic energy. However, during this process, the demonic energy quickly merged with the golden light and continued to melt. Although the golden light looked ordinary, it was actually very powerful. It broke through the demonic energy and entered Wang Lin's body through his finger. Wang Lin coughed out a large mouthful of blood. His body felt like it had been hit by a powerful force and was thrown back. At the same time, popping sounds came from his body. This platform wasn't big, so Wang Lin's body was thrown off the platform and fell toward the void below. The middle-aged man lowered his head to look at where Wang Lin disappeared to. He raised his head and slowly said, "You broke the first one. Next is the second one." With that, he raised his right hand again and another ray of golden light gathered at his fingertip. Wang Lin's serious injury wasn't out of Yao Shishue's expectation. She didn't care about Wang Lin's life or death, she only cared about how to enter the cave. As for what her father said about not becoming enemies with Wang Lin, she completely forgot about it. In fact, in her heart, Wang Lin's identity and cultivation weren't enough for her to befriend him, even if he was extraordinary. She scanned her surroundings with her divine sense, and didn't find Wang Lin. The last bit of doubt in her heart disappeared. At this moment, facing the second wave of sword chi from the spirit of the cave, she immediately touched her bag of holding with her right hand, and a large amount of blood-colored jade talismans appeared in her hand. At this moment, a golden light shot out from the middle-aged man's hand like a roaring golden dragon. The talisman in Yao Shishue's hand immediately shattered and a large amount of blood-colored light spread out, wrapping around the golden dragon. However, the golden dragon charged out like a hot knife through butter. Although the light was dim, it was still very powerful as it landed on Yao Shishue's chest. Yao Shishue's face immediately turned bewitching red. She suppressed the mouthful of blood and took 2 steps back as she looked at the middle-aged man. This was the 4th time she had come to this stone door. She knew that the blood-colored talisman could only be used once. The second time, it had no effect on the golden light. The first time she came here was because she had the blood-colored talisman. She had charged through 11 platforms like a hot knife through butter. She thought she had a 90% chance of success, but the blood-colored talisman had lost its effect on the second ray of sword energy. You can take the second ray of sword energy. Now it's the third. As the middle-aged man spoke, a golden light appeared on his finger again. Without giving his opponent any time to prepare, the golden light flashed out. Although Yao Shishue's face was red, she was extremely excited. In the past, when she faced the third ray of sword energy, she was already seriously injured. She only had a small amount of celestial force left in her body, so she couldn't resist it at all. But now, because Wang Lin had successfully taken the first ray of sword energy, she had enough celestial force in her body. Although she was slightly injured, it didn't affect her ability to use her spells. She was more confident than ever that she could take the third ray of sword energy. This abode is mine. Yao Shishue took a deep breath. Her hands formed seals in front of her chest and rapidly changed. The moment the golden light closed in, she coughed out a large mouthful of blood. The blood directly landed on the golden light. At the same time, she murmured in a low voice, and the speed at which her hands formed seals increased. The golden light let out a sizzling sound as it was drenched in blood. The blood seemed to be boiling as it surged and turned into blood-colored runes that stuck closely to the golden light. The golden light instantly dimmed, but the blood-colored runes on it also began to melt. The golden light shot out and headed straight for Yao Shishue. Yao Shishue took a deep breath and immediately stopped forming hand seals. She turned into a blur and stopped in front of her. Then, a circular blood-red array appeared in her hands. At this moment, the golden light closed in and collided with the blood-colored formation. A muffled bang echoed, and the blood-colored formation immediately collapsed. As for the golden light, it turned into specks of golden light that entered Yao Shishue's body. Yao Shishue could no longer control herself and coughed out a large mouthful of blood. Her body trembled, and the celestial force inside her body surged like crazy to fight the golden light. Once the golden light entered the human body, it would cause great damage to the meridians and body. Only by using celestial force to resist the golden light could the danger be resolved. If you and the man from before don't die, you will be qualified to enter the cave. The middle-aged man's voice was still as calm as water. Hearing this, Yao Shishue sat down without any hesitation and circulated the celestial force in her body to fuse with the golden light. At this moment, she was completely immersed in the golden light, so she didn't notice a cold gaze landing on her. At the most critical moment when the celestial force in his body was fighting against the golden light, an afterimage shot out from the void below the platform at an extremely fast speed like a meteor. This figure was wearing a straw hat and moved like lightning. He arrived on the platform almost instantly and didn't stop. His left hand reached out and Yao Shishue's bag of holding flew out. At the same time, his right hand pointed between Yao Shishue's eyebrows. At this moment, Yao Shishue's eyes suddenly opened and were filled with shock. She wanted to dodge, but it was too late. She could only watch as the figure's finger pressed between her eyebrows. A destructive force entered her body through the space between her eyebrows. Like a hot knife through butter, it passed through her meridians. Everywhere it passed, her meridians were broken. At the same time, the little celestial force inside her body was hit by this destructive force and immediately scattered. Adding on the power of the golden light, Yao Shishue coughed out a mouthful of blood. Her body trembled and she was thrown back 30 feet. When she landed on the ground, a gray gas appeared between her eyebrows and formed a life seal that covered her body. Blood flowed out from the corner of Yao Shishue's mouth as she hissed, "Wang Lin, you want to die? It won't be that easy." A cold voice came from the figure. This slender figure took off the straw hat on his head. He was Wang Lin. The shock in Yao Shishue's eyes was extremely strong. Wang Lin's appearance had exceeded her expectations. She thought that even if this person wasn't dead, he would be seriously injured. There was no way he would appear here like this. Moreover, when she scanned the area with her divine sense, she clearly remembered that she didn't find this person. Wang Lin's expression remained the same as he looked at Yao Shishue. Everything that was happening right now was something he had secretly planned. It could be said that when he found out that this was the end of this place, he already had an idea. The reason he took the risk of releasing demonic energy again was to completely numb Yao Shishue and make her think that he had used his full strength. Then, he used the moment the sword energy entered his body to shatter the immortal crystal he had condensed in his body. Previously, when he was in the army camp, he had stored a third of the immortal jade might transformation immortal crystal in his body for 3 days, precisely to create an unexpected effect. The immortal crystal shattered and a large amount of celestial energy emerged. Normally, He would have to immediately sit down to meditate when so much celestial energy appeared. If he wasn't careful, the meridians in his body would be shattered by this large amount of celestial energy. However, when the sword chi entered his body, the dense celestial chi perfectly melted with it. It completely resisted the destruction of the sword chi until it completely melted. Then, according to his previous plan, he took out the straw hat that Yunzi had given him and secretly came here. This straw hat contained a large amount of restrictions. Yunzi's cultivation was at the mid-stage of ascendant, so his magical treasure was naturally very powerful. The function of this hat was to hide divine sense. Wang Lin had used it many times, and the effect was very good. Unless the other party's cultivation was at the ascendant stage, they wouldn't be able to detect it. How could Yao Shishua know about all of this? Wang Lin held Yao Shishua's bag of holding and calmly said, "Fellow cultivator Yao, we meet again." Although his words were directed at Yao Shishua, his gaze swept toward the middle-aged man under the stone door. The middle-aged man's eyes were still calm, as if everything before him didn't exist. Yao Shishua clenched her teeth and said, "You're so despicable." Wang Lin faintly smiled. Many people had cursed him. The winner is king and the loser is the thief. This was the rule of the cultivation world, and Wang Lin had always remembered it. He smiled and said, "Fellow cultivator Yao gave me a fake pill and hid the danger of entering this place. Wang Lin is just taking revenge, so there's no need to praise me like this. If my father, the blood ancestor, finds out about this, you're dead, even if you're Tian Yunzi's disciple. Besides, before I came here, I had already used a blood soul pill." Yao Shishua's face was pale without any trace of blood. "Why would I kill you? You have a blood soul pill to revive you, but to use it, you must die. I've sealed your body with a spell, so you don't have any celestial energy left in your body. Let's see how you're going to die." Wang Lin smiled, but his smile looked a bit sinister. Yao Shishua's face was pale, and her body was weak. Just like what Wang Lin said, she didn't have any celestial energy left in her body, and her meridians were cracked. In her current state, she should be dead, but the mark between her eyebrows continued to send out strands of life force that covered her body, forming a cycle of life and death. Under this cycle, her life and death had stopped. "I only need to seal you in a place and let you endure 100 years of loneliness. You will wander between life and death, but you won't be able to die. Even if you bite your tongue to commit suicide, with the mark between your eyebrows, you won't succeed. As a result, I want to see how you're going to revive with a blood soul pill." Although Wang Lin's voice was calm, when it entered Yao Shishua's ears, her expression changed. As Wang Lin spoke, he couldn't help but think back to when he was in Suzaku. His cultivation was destroyed by the giant demon clan's ancestor and the cultivators of Shuiyu. After he became a cripple, he was stranded in a mountain village and found the skeleton of a woman that had been sealed there for an unknown amount of years. Wang Lin thought, there is a cycle of reincarnation in this world. He took a few steps forward and arrived in front of Yao Shishua. His right hand moved toward her full chest. Yao Shishua bit her lips, and her eyes were filled with killing intent and humiliation. To Wang Lin, this gaze meant nothing. His right hand reached into Yao Shishua's clothes and felt the softness of soft jade. It had to be said that Yao Shishua was a rare beauty. Apart from that, her identity was also one of the reasons why people were moved. She was the dignified daughter of the blood ancestor. She was usually high and mighty, but today she was in trouble. Wang Lin revealed a smile that wasn't a smile. His right hand pinched the softness of Yao Shishua's chest. When he withdrew his hand, he took out 3 bags of holding. Yao Shishua's eyes were filled with humiliation. She stared at Wang Lin and gritted her teeth. She had cultivated for many years and had always maintained her virginity. She had never had such intimate contact with a man. After putting away the bags of holding, Wang Lin said, "Fellow cultivator Yao, how about we make a deal?" Yao Shishua stared at Wang Lin and didn't say a word. "I intend to seal you until your lifespan runs out. However, in the demon spirit land, 500 years is the limit. If you answer one of my questions, I'll reduce your lifespan by 50 years. How about it?" Wang Lin smiled. Yao Shishua took a deep breath and remained silent for a while. After pondering a bit, she coldly said, "How do I know if what you said is true or false?" Wang Lin chuckled and said, "You can refuse." Yao Shishua coldly looked at Wang Lin and snorted. If you lie, I might not be able to tell right now, but I'll find out in the future. At that time, don't blame me for not helping you break the seal. The first question is, why are you in such a rush to enter the cave?" Wang Lin's question was very clever, and it contained a lot of information. Yao Shishua turned her head and looked at the stone door. The middle-aged man's gaze was still calm. "I just want to go in, there's no reason. You asked for it." Wang Lin's eyes became cold. His hand formed a seal, and he placed down restrictions. These restrictions landed on the ground and formed a circle of restrictions. As time passed, Wang Lin placed down more and more restrictions, and the circle of restrictions on the ground gave off a black glow. After doing all of this, Wang Lin grabbed Yao Shishua and threw her into the circle of restrictions. His right hand formed a seal and he softly said, "Seal." With one word, the circle of restrictions shrank and quickly surrounded Yao Shishua. In almost an instant, a sphere of restrictions was formed. Wang Lin waved his right hand and the sphere suddenly shrank and flew into his bag of holding. After doing all of this, Wang Lin turned around to look at the middle-aged man and said, "Do I have the qualifications to enter?" The middle-aged man, Shinsei, calmly said, "The two of you jointly withstood 3 streaks of sword chi, so you naturally have the qualifications to enter. However, everything in the cave was completely sealed by the master before he left. If you can't open the seal, then it's useless. What kind of cave is this?" Wang Lin was not in a hurry to enter. Instead, he pondered for a moment before asking, "Master's cave abode. Who is your master?" "The master is the master. There's no such thing as who I am." Wang Lin looked at the middle-aged man. After a short while, he said, "What are those golden runes on the 11 platforms outside?" "It's a divine ability to protect the mansion. It's a pity that after Master sealed it, there's no central control, so it lost its divine ability. Otherwise, the two of you wouldn't have been able to enter," the middle-aged man said slowly. "Besides me, if there's someone else who withstands 3 of your sword chi, would you allow them to enter the abode as well?" Wang Lin's eyes flashed as he asked. "If you can break a seal in the abode, then you can obtain the right to enter the cave abode. If you can do this, the cave abode will automatically close. Naturally, no one will be able to enter unless you are dead. This cave abode has existed for countless years. Has anyone ever entered it before?" Wang Lin asked again. "Yes, but they are all dead. How do I leave here?" "Break a seal, naturally you can leave." Wang Lin was silent. He knew that the cave abode's spirit wouldn't say much if he asked again. After pondering for a while, he didn't talk nonsense and directly stepped into the stone door. Inside the stone door, what appeared in front of Wang Lin was a group of pavilions that looked like a mortal palace. He was standing at the gate of this palace-like building. A faint celestial force filled the surroundings. Wang Lin took a deep breath and his whole body felt refreshed. He took a step forward, but immediately his expression changed, and he looked down at the ground. The ground was paved with blue stones and was extremely flat. Wang Lin squatted down and touched the ground with his right hand. Immediately, a strange expression appeared on his face. Celestial Jade, Wang Lin spread out his divine sense. He immediately sensed that there were seals all around him. The moment his divine sense spread out, he immediately withdrew it. All the buildings here are made of celestial jade. Wang Lin was extremely sensitive to celestial jade. At this moment, all he could see was celestial jade, and he couldn't help but take a deep breath. Unfortunately, there are powerful seals on them. Otherwise, I would definitely dig out all the celestial jade. Wang Lin looked at the path of celestial jade under his feet and revealed a look of pity. About 100 feet in front of him was a giant pill furnace. The lid of the pill furnace had holes the size of an arm. White smoke came out from the holes and slowly rose into the air. A few hundred feet in front of the pill furnace was a 3-story pavilion. Wang Lin's body moved forward. He stopped next to the pill furnace and looked inside through the small hole on the pill furnace. There is a puddle of water at the bottom of the pill furnace. The white smoke is coming from that puddle of water. I'm not the first person to enter this place. Perhaps there were pills inside the pill furnace before that were taken away by someone else. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed as he looked at the pill furnace. There was a restriction seal on the furnace, but it was in a broken state. It was obvious that it had been broken by someone else a long time ago. After carefully looking around, Wang Lin walked forward. Wang Lin stopped in front of the pavilion and looked around. There were seals on the pavilion as well. There were even seals on the 3 steps below it. This is a complete seal. Once the restriction is placed, it will split into countless parts, causing everything inside and outside of the pavilion to become a restriction. This kind of sealing technique is rare even in ancient times. According to some of the records I've read, this technique is rumored to be from the celestial realm. It's also called celestial restriction. Wang Lin looked around and muttered to himself, "This cave is filled with celestial restriction. Could this really be the cave of an celestial?" Thinking about this, Wang Lin became even more cautious. Although the restriction seal on the pavilion had been broken by someone, he still carefully examined it before taking a step forward. On the 3rd floor of the pavilion, Wang Lin carefully examined it before taking a step forward. This wasted a lot of time. Even so, through his examination, Wang Lin was able to see through the restrictions of the pavilion. There was nothing inside the pavilion. Not even a single table or chair was left behind. If it weren't for the traces of tables and chairs on the ground, Wang Lin wouldn't have thought that someone had taken them away after breaking the seal. Even the tables and chairs of an celestial realm are not ordinary items. It makes sense that someone took them away. Wang Lin said self-deprecatingly. The 3rd floor of the pavilion was too empty. Wang Lin didn't find anything. Almost all the restrictions in the pavilion had been broken by someone. However, as Wang Lin observed, he discovered that the traces of the restrictions weren't broken by the same person. There were at least 3 different methods of breaking the restrictions in the pavilion. One of the methods used auspicious restrictions. It was extremely exquisite. When the restrictions were broken, they would form something that looked like a plum blossom. Wang Lin had seen this method in some auspicious records before. It was called the 18 plum blossom restrictions. More than half of the restrictions in the pavilion had been broken with this method. It was obvious that it was done by the same person. These restrictions were very famous in the ancient cultivation world. However, they were very particular about who was in the direct line of descent. Outsiders would never be able to learn them. Even disciples of the direct line of descent, depending on their status, could only learn up to 9 restrictions. Only the sect leader could learn the complete 18 restrictions. Just as he was about to leave, Wang Lin's eyes suddenly focused on the traces of tables and chairs on the ground. His expression changed. Ear Root is a very pure man. I changed the 18 chrysanthemum restrictions to 18 plum blossom restrictions. Pure, right? Chapter 559. There were a few marks on the floor of the building where the tables and chairs used to be. Clearly, the marks had been left there for too long. Furthermore, the seals around the area had been broken, and the minor divine ability to remove the dust had been lost. After looking around the building for a bit, Wang Lin was able to glean quite a bit of information. First of all, there had to be 3 people who had entered the building before him. Of course, that didn't rule out the possibility that there were people like Wang Lin, who had come here only to find the remains of the seals that had been deciphered by others. Of the 3 people, the person who had mastered the 18 plum blossom hexes had been the first to appear. That person was most likely very proud and arrogant, and didn't care about ordinary things. According to Wang Lin's observations, wherever there were valuable items, there were also remains of the 18 hexes. After that person left, 2 more people arrived. Their methods of deciphering the hexes were a bit amateurish, and the tables and chairs were taken by one of them. The key to this conclusion was the marks on the floor that Wang Lin was looking at. There were some tiny bits of wood on the ash mark. If you didn't look closely, you wouldn't notice them. Wang Lin squatted down and picked up a piece of wood with his index finger. Forcibly deciphering the hexes caused some damage to the tables and chairs. Wang Lin flicked the piece of wood away, then walked out the back door of the building. Behind the building was a long, winding corridor, fenced with celestial jade. Beneath the fence was a dried-up pond. There were also large amounts of hexes left behind by the destruction of the hexes. On the surface of the pond, Wang Lin found the 18 plum blossom hexes. As he walked along the winding corridor, Wang Lin carefully examined his surroundings. He noticed that the fences around him had been broken in many places. The further he went, the fewer hexes he saw. After walking for about 5 kilometers, he reached the end of the corridor. At the end, the corridor split into 3 directions. At the intersection, Wang Lin stopped and carefully examined the 3 paths. He wanted to find the direction that the person who had mastered the 18 plum blossom hexes had gone. That person's hexes were too powerful, and if he followed that person, he wouldn't be able to find any treasures. That person was like an elegant thief who only picked the best items. The 2 people behind him were like robbers who basically didn't let go of anything they saw. However, their abilities were limited, so they would leave behind some of the best items. After carefully examining the area, Wang Lin walked a few dozen meters in each of the 3 directions, then returned to his original position. His eyes flashed, and he headed toward the path to the right. After walking 1,000 feet, Wang Lin saw that although the scenery was the same as before, there were broken restrictions everywhere. These restrictions had all been broken by force, and there were even some places where the restrictions were only broken halfway before being abandoned. Every time he encountered one of these half-broken hexes, Wang Lin would stop and carefully examine it. He wasn't in a rush to break it, but after observing it, he would continue moving forward. The path to the right extended out. Although there were fences on both sides, outside the fences was no longer a pond, but a bamboo forest. As he cautiously moved forward, Wang Lin suddenly stopped. He raised his right foot and slowly placed it back down. His body didn't move, but there were flashes of restrictions in his eyes. There was a pavilion 100 feet in front of him. There was a round table with 4 stone stools. There was a wine jug and several cups on top of the table. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he cautiously looked around. Within 100 feet of the pavilion, all the hexes were intact, and there were no signs of them being broken. There must be something special about the wine jug on the stone table in the pavilion. I followed the marks left by someone before me, but the person who broke the hexes stopped here. Wang Lin pondered a bit and took a few steps back. The restrictions in his eyes flashed as he carefully observed. Gradually, his expression became more and more serious. So that's how it is. There are tens of thousands of changes to the hexes inside the pavilion. If I can't figure out all of them, once I step within 100 feet of the pavilion, I will trigger the power of the hexes. Even if I break it by force, unless I have a shocking cultivation level, it will be difficult for me to escape unscathed. Also, the most important thing is that this pavilion is clearly the center of all the hexes. That's why the person who came here for who knows how many years chose to retreat. Although these hexes are strong, if the person who knows the 18 plum blossom restriction came here, he would only need a bit of time to break them. From this, it can be seen that the direction I chose was correct. No one has been here before. Wang Lin took a deep breath, and there was a flash of excitement in his eyes. When he entered the cave, everything he saw was the remains of something that had been swept away. It was as if he had entered a mountain of treasure only to find that it had already been dug out by someone. From his point of view, this pavilion was another mountain of treasures. Wang Lin suppressed the excitement in his heart and calmed himself down. After looking around a bit more, he sat down and began to study the hexes. The restriction seal outside the pavilion was like a dense net. It was impossible for an ordinary person to discover it. However, in the eyes of those who were proficient in restrictions, the difference in their experience would cause them to see things differently. The first step to breaking the hexes was to observe them. Wang Lin sat there for 3 days. During these 3 days, his eyes gradually became bloodshot and there was a hint of exhaustion on his face. I can only see 3,000 changes. I'm still a bit away from breaking the hexes. However, the hexes are still, so a lot of the changes won't show up. Wang Lin pondered for a moment before he suddenly raised his right hand and flicked it forward. A ray of celestial spiritual energy shot out from his finger toward the pavilion. After flicking his finger, he didn't hesitate to quickly retreat. He was so fast that he almost left an afterimage. As soon as the strand of celestial force entered within 100 feet of the pavilion, it immediately collapsed with a bang and turned into specks of light that dissipated. At the same time, like a drop of water being thrown into a pot of boiling oil, an explosive aura frantically surged out from within 100 feet. A stone stirred up a layer of waves. A crazy aura, filled with tyrannical power, swept out from within 100 feet like a raging wave. Almost in an instant it spread crazily. If it wasn't for the fact that Wang Lin was prepared and his speed was extremely fast, he would have been covered by this wave. Wang Lin didn't stop until he was more than 100 feet away. Although he was retreating, his eyes were still staring at the hexes. At this moment, his eyes were shining brightly. There were at least 10,000 changes in the hexes just now. Wang Lin pondered a bit before he sat down and continued to analyze the hexes. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 1 month had passed. During this month, Wang Lin had tried to activate the hexes with celestial spiritual energy several times to observe the changes inside. Every time he tried, he would gain a lot. Most of the changes outside the pavilion gradually appeared in his mind. At the same time, he hadn't stopped analyzing the hexes for even half a breath. His eyes were completely red, as if they were about to drip blood. During this month, Wang Lin had forgotten everything. He even forgot that he was inside someone else's cave. The only thing he cared about was breaking this hex's restriction. The more he studied and the more he deduced, the more Wang Lin felt like he gained a lot. This hex's restriction was all-encompassing, and as he studied it, he gained a deeper understanding of it. The restrictions that Wang Lin learned came from the land of the ancient god. What he learned was ancient restrictions. Then, in the underground cave in the Suzaku Plains, he accidentally read a lot of ancient book. Adding on the hundreds of years that followed, his understanding of restrictions became more complex. His understanding of restrictions had reached a certain level. As time passed, when he completed the 99 restriction flags, his understanding of restrictions reached a bottleneck. Anyone who studied restrictions would encounter many bottlenecks in their life. If they couldn't break through them, then their research would stop. This bottleneck was invisible, but it was caused by many factors. During this month of research, Wang Lin's knowledge had increased greatly. The changes in the hexes seemed to have opened up a path for him. He had unknowingly broken through the bottleneck, and what appeared before him was a straight path. At this moment, he was 40% confident that he could break this hex's restriction. Although it was only 40%, it has to be said that even someone who had studied restrictions for 1,000 years only had 20% confidence in breaking this hex's restriction. Only those old monsters that had lived for more than 10,000 years would dare to say they had more than 40% confidence. If the person who specializes in the 18 plum blossom restriction can break it, I'm afraid he has more than 70% confidence. Wang Lin pondered for a long time. He didn't act rashly and continued to analyze the hexes. Another month passed. Wang Lin was confident that although he hadn't completely grasped the hexes, he was 50% confident he could break it. On this day, he calmly stood up. Although his eyes were bloodshot, he was in high spirits. His body moved and he instantly arrived 100 feet away from the hexes. His eyes lit up as he calculated and took a step forward. This first step, Wang Lin wasn't nervous at all. He was 100% confident that there wouldn't be any changes and he wouldn't trigger this hex's restriction. After taking a step forward, nothing changed. Wang Lin's expression was the same as usual as he took another step forward. The moment his first step landed, he took another step forward. 3 steps, 10 feet. He took 9 steps in a row. It was as if he had practiced these 9 steps countless times. He was extremely calm, like he was walking in his own garden. There was nothing out of the ordinary. After taking 9 steps, Wang Lin's eyes flashed with restrictions. He looked up at the hexes before him. His right hand moved as he calculated before he took another step forward. This time, it was another 9 steps. At this moment, he had already walked 60 feet. Although 60 feet wasn't a long distance, Wang Lin had spent 2 months calculating. Even some old monsters that had lived for thousands of years wouldn't be able to easily cross 60 feet. Chapter 560. After 60 feet, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. He didn't continue to move forward, but took 3 steps back and stepped out from the side. He took 9 steps, then he took another 3 steps back, changed his direction and charged forward. He almost took a small detour and came to a distance of 30 feet from the pavilion. His expression was calm. All of this was within his calculations, and all the changes were in his heart. In truth, he had calculated each step countless times in his mind before he was able to confirm it. It was because he was confident that he was able to calmly move forward. Wang Lin knew that if he took one wrong step, then he would suffer a powerful backlash inside the restriction. The first 60 feet were fine, but the last 40 feet was something that, with his cultivation level, if he took the wrong step, he would be doomed. However, things weren't absolute. There was always a chance of survival inside the restriction. If he stepped on this chance of survival during a moment of danger, he would be able to save his life. This was also one of the characteristics of the celestial restriction. However, this chance of survival wasn't fixed. It would constantly change its position as the restriction changed. During these 2 months, aside from the restriction itself, the main focus of Wang Lin's calculations was the position of this chance of survival. From 60 feet to 70 feet, the reason he took a small circle was because of the change in the chance of survival. He had always maintained that he was only 1 step away from it. At this moment, he was standing at 70 feet and calculating with his fingers. His eyes lit up and he took a step forward. With this step, he directly moved 10 feet forward. After his foot landed, Wang Lin immediately moved another 10 feet forward. However, the moment he landed, Wang Lin's expression changed. Without any hesitation, he took half a step to the left. Just at this moment, a black tornado appeared within 100 feet of the pavilion. This tornado appeared out of nowhere and a violent force surged out. There were also bolts of black lightning flashing inside the tornado. In the blink of an eye, everything within 100 feet seemed to have been destroyed. Wind, thunder, and lightning rumbled. Forget Wang Lin, even an ascendant cultivator would die if they stayed inside for more than 3 breaths. In particular, the lightning was like a swimming dragon that could destroy everything in the world. Wang Lin's figure constantly moved within the 30-meter-wide hurricane, crisscrossing between the bolts of lightning. Every single step he took was on a path of survival, and the slightest carelessness would cause him to be struck by the bolts of lightning, causing his Yuan spirit to be destroyed. It wasn't that he made a mistake in his calculation earlier, but that the formation had somehow reversed itself and was now operating in the opposite direction. After 10 breaths of time, the hurricane immediately dissipated, as if it had never appeared. Along with it, the black lightning also dissipated. Wang Lin's body flickered and he stepped into the pavilion. He had crossed the 10 moons of distance, but a large amount of sweat was coming down his forehead. The moment he stepped into the pavilion, the area 100 feet around the pavilion began to shine brightly. This light shined brightly and caused the surrounding scenery to change greatly. At the back of the pavilion, it was as if the clouds had been parted, revealing a fake mountain. The ground was covered in grass, and there was a bamboo forest, which was connected to the bamboo forest that had existed in the surroundings. The scenery around him changed greatly, as if he had been rescued from death's door. A new world had appeared. At the same time, a calm voice came from the void and entered Wang Lin's ears. Break the restriction and you will temporarily gain the right to own this cave. As long as you don't die, no one will be able to enter this place again. The moment the voice appeared, a crystal light flew from the distance and stopped before Wang Lin. It was a crystal token the size of a finger. It floated in the air and emitted bursts of 7-colored light. This is the token of the cave. With this token, you can enter the cave. Wang Lin took a deep breath as he held the crystal token and looked at the pavilion. Inside the pavilion, be it the stone tables or chairs, they were all protected by restrictions that couldn't be easily touched. However, compared to the 100-foot restriction, these restrictions were a lot weaker. Wang Lin didn't look at the tables or chairs. His gaze was focused on the wine jug on the round table. Although the restriction on the wine jug was exquisite, it wasn't a problem for Wang Lin. After a bit of divination, his right hand pointed at the wine jug. When it was 3 inches away from the jug, a ripple that looked like the surface of the water appeared. Wang Lin's finger landed on the surface of the ripple. At the same time, he quickly raised his finger and flicked it. The shadow of a restriction flew out from his hand and landed on the ripple. At this moment, the water ripples immediately surged, and in the center, a rotating vortex appeared. This vortex spun faster and faster, spreading in all directions, forming a circular hole. Wang Lin's right hand moved like lightning and reached into the hole. He grabbed the wine jug and took it out. The ripple disappeared and the surroundings returned to normal. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with excitement. The wine jug in his hand was a bit heavy, so it wasn't empty. He took a deep breath and opened the jug. A fragrant smell immediately came out. Wang Lin immediately saw that there were about 10 drops of wine inside the jug. This jug is a bit heavy, but there are only 10 drops. But this is celestial wine and it is placed here, so it is definitely not ordinary. Wang Lin stared at the wine jug and felt a bit conflicted. After a bit, he clenched his teeth and poured out a drop of wine. He sucked it into his mouth. The moment the drop of wine entered his mouth, Wang Lin's entire body turned red. A powerful surge of celestial spiritual energy flowed through his body in the blink of an eye. A feeling of intoxication appeared in Wang Lin's body along with the celestial spiritual energy. The celestial spiritual energy in his body rapidly increased and flowed through his meridians like a flood. A burning sensation rose from his dantian and rushed toward the top of his head. At the same time, The feeling of intoxication became stronger as the celestial spiritual energy flowed through his body. Wang Lin's eyes were no longer clear, but cloudy. His body slowly leaned to the side, his head tilted to the side, and he fell asleep. Time passed. 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year. During this 1 year, Wang Lin slept the entire time. His snores came from the distance. Ever since he started cultivating, Wang Lin rarely slept. However, this was the longest he had slept in hundreds of years. Although he was sleeping, the celestial spiritual energy in his body increased like crazy. Even if Tian Yunzi saw this, he would be shocked. When the celestial spiritual energy in his body reached a certain level, the demonic crystal in his dantian silently shattered and melted. Demonic spiritual energy filled the area, but it was immediately devoured by the celestial spiritual energy and became a part of him. As Wang Lin fell asleep, strands of celestial spiritual energy came out from his body and filled the area. During this 1 year, the celestial spiritual energy within this area was extremely dense. While sleeping, Wang Lin still held a jug of wine in his right hand. On this day, Wang Lin slowly opened his eyes and let out a drunken burp. His eyes were filled with confusion as he subconsciously looked around. However, the confusion in his eyes disappeared and was replaced with clarity. He almost immediately stood up with a vigilant look in his eyes. After carefully looking around, he frowned and looked down at the wine jug in his hand. He only remembered drinking a drop of wine, and the celestial spiritual energy in his body increased. Then he fell asleep involuntarily. Thinking about celestial spiritual energy, he immediately looked inside himself. After checking himself, his eyes were filled with unimaginable shock. How long have I been sleeping? Ever since Wang Lin started cultivating, it was rare for him to be this shocked. The celestial spiritual energy in my body has far surpassed the peak of the late stage of soul transformation. I only need to comprehend my domain to reach the life and death stage. Wang Lin looked at the jug of wine in his hand in disbelief. What kind of wine is this? Wang Lin was extremely cautious as he put the jug of wine into his bag of holding. However, he still felt uneasy, so he placed several powerful restrictions on it before putting it back into his bag of holding. I'm going to completely plunder this place. At this moment, Wang Lin's interest in this place reached a peak. After the excitement passed, Wang Lin also felt a bit of fear. Luckily, my domain hasn't reached the life and death stage yet. Otherwise, if I had enough celestial spiritual energy to reach the life and death stage, I wouldn't be able to take out Zhou Yi's ascendant crystal while I was asleep. If I was unlucky and failed to reach the ascendant stage, I would have died too unjustly. Wang Lin silently pondered, but then his eyes lit up. With my current cultivation level, I have no opponents in the soul transformation stage. As long as my domain is strong enough, I can find a secret place to reach the ascendant stage. This place is the most secretive. Once my domain is strong enough, I can reach the ascendant stage here. Everything in this world is really a blessing and disaster. I was lucky enough to enter this place. If not for this, even if I had enough celestial jades, I don't know how many years it would take for me to reach my current level. Could this be what mortals call a fortuitous encounter? Wang Lin was in a good mood. After his nap, he was in a good state. He looked around and was about to continue breaking the seal, but his heart skipped a beat. How long did I sleep? If I slept for decades or even centuries, then wouldn't the outside world have changed a lot? If that's the case, then I might as well cultivate on my own. Wang Lin pondered a bit and walked around the pavilion. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed and fell on the bamboo forest in the distance. There was a corner of a fence in the bamboo forest. Although most of it was covered by bamboo, upon closer inspection, Wang Lin was able to see some clues. I didn't notice before that there was a pavilion here, but it looks like an ancestral hall in a mortal's courtyard. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin didn't go check the ancestral hall. Instead, he took out the crystal token and his mind entered it. There was a burst of light and his figure disappeared from the cave. There was a big treasure inside the cave, and it contained a lot of secret. Once I leave, I'll find some time to come back and slowly dig them out. Today, the first chapter was a bit lacking, but the second chapter was dry. If I average it out, it should be about the same. Chapter 561. Outside the cave, on the platform where the stone door was, Wang Lin appeared in a flash of light. The spirit of the cave had disappeared, and even the stone door had disappeared without a trace. If it weren't for the traces of Yao Shishue's blood on the ground, Wang Lin would definitely suspect that something had happened. Wang Lin B9 held the crystal token in his hand. In addition to the incantation to enter and leave the cave, there was also some short information on the token. After pondering for a while, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. His body turned into a shadow, and he quickly flew along the revered dragon road outside the platform. He jumped all the way and passed by 11 platforms. The stone statues on these platforms didn't change at all. They were still in the state where they were sealed by Yao Shishue. After increasing his cultivation level in the cave, Wang Lin's cultivation level had reached the peak of the late stage of soul transformation. As a result, his speed immediately increased by leaps and bounds. His speed was even faster than lightning. It only took him half a month to return to the first platform. There was nothing on this platform, but with Wang Lin's current cultivation level and the 2 months of breaking restrictions, he immediately found the teleportation array left behind by the blood ancestor. Looking at this array, Wang Lin pondered for a bit and took out 4 bags of holding. These 4 bags of holding belonged to Yao Shishue. If it was before, with Wang Lin's mid-stage soul transformation cultivation level, it would be difficult for him to open these bags of holding. But now Wang Lin's cultivation level had reached the peak of the late stage of soul transformation, even higher than Yao Shishue's. He touched the 4 bags of holding with his right hand. Bursts of blood-colored light immediately flashed on the bags of holding, resisting the invasion of Wang Lin's divine sense. Wang Lin let out a snort and condensed celestial spiritual energy in his body. He reached out and the blood-colored light in one of the bags of holding collapsed. Wang Lin didn't stop and reached for another bag of holding. The blood-colored light resisted for 3 breaths before collapsing. Just like before, Wang Lin erased Yao Shishue's divine sense imprint on the 3rd bag of holding. Just as Wang Lin was about to erase the divine sense imprint on the last bag of holding, his expression suddenly changed. His right hand suddenly stopped 3 inches above the 4th bag of holding. His gaze became extremely serious as he slowly withdrew his right hand and carefully looked at the bag of holding. After he obtained the 4 bags of holding, he didn't take a closer look because his cultivation level wasn't high enough. Now that he took a closer look, he immediately found some clues. Within the blood-colored light on the last bag of holding, there was a faint purple line. If he didn't look closely, it would be very difficult to see. In fact, if he didn't use his divine sense, it would be very difficult to see it with the naked eye. Although this bag of holding looks very ordinary, when I tried to erase the divine sense on it, I immediately felt my heart jump. I'm afraid this bag of holding isn't the imprint of Yao Shishue's divine sense. Could it be her father, the blood ancestor? Wang Lin silently pondered. Logically speaking, if it wasn't the blood ancestor's divine sense, then no one would be able to open the bag of holding without erasing it. However, the blood ancestor's cultivation level is extremely high, and he has cultivated for a long time. I'm afraid he has another way to allow his daughter to use the items inside the bag of holding without erasing her divine sense. That way, even if an outsider obtained this bag of holding, if they were careless, they would immediately be killed by the divine sense on the bag of holding. This blood ancestor, what a good trick! Wang Lin slowly withdrew his divine sense. As soon as his divine sense spread out, the blood-colored light on the bag of holding immediately disappeared. Although Wang Lin had never personally seen the blood ancestor, through the identification method of the blood soul pill and the divine sense trap on the bag of holding, it was as if he had seen the blood ancestor with his own eyes. While he admired the blood ancestor, he also felt a deep sense of dread. After pondering for a while, Wang Lin carefully put away the bag of holding and his gaze fell on the other 3 bags of holding. He scanned them with his divine sense, and even with his mental fortitude, he couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. The first bag of holding was filled with celestial jades. The amount of celestial jades inside was impossible to estimate. With a rough glance, Wang Lin estimated that compared to the amount Yao Shishue had given him, there were at least 10 times more. The amount of celestial jades needed to reach the ascendant stage is extremely large, even more than the total amount of celestial jades I needed before. After reaching the ascendant stage, the amount of celestial jades I need to increase by 1 rank is unimaginable. If I don't have enough, then I can only stop here. This is a windfall for me. Wang Lin revealed a faint smile as he put away the bag of holding. His divine sense landed on the second bag of holding, and his eyes immediately lit up with excitement. Inside the second bag of holding, there were no less than 1,000 blood-colored talismans. When Wang Lin came into contact with Yao Shishue, he was deeply moved by these talismans. They were also something he dreaded a lot. Once these talismans shattered, they would release a powerful blood-colored light. Aside from being a seal, this blood-colored light could also be used as a powerful defense. According to Wang Lin's speculation, these talismans could also be used to attack, but without the corresponding chant and cultivation method, they wouldn't be able to use them. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. His right hand touched the bag of holding and a blood-colored talisman appeared in his palm. After pondering for a bit, he crushed the talisman and shattered it. A ray of blood-colored light came out from the shattered talisman and surrounded the area before Wang Lin. After checking it with his divine sense and the blood-colored light disappeared, Wang Lin thought, I don't have the chant for a sealing technique, so I can only use this talisman to protect myself. However, with Yao Shishue in my hands, I can obtain everything. The third bag of holding contained a variety of items. There were even some women's clothes and spices. Aside from these, there were also some small jewelry and dolls. Wang Lin ignored these items. His divine sense swept through the bag of holding, and his eyes narrowed. Inside the bag of holding, he saw more than 10 blood soul pills and white wax pellets. These wax pellets were neatly placed together. The runes on them were dim and did not flicker at all. Not all the blood soul pills were placed together. In the corner of the bag of holding, there was a blood soul pill placed by itself. The runes on it were not dim, but they were faintly flickering. Aside from the blood soul pill, there was also a compass placed to the side. Wang Lin's target was this compass. He touched the bag of holding with his right hand, and 2 items appeared in his hand. The compass and the blood soul pill that was placed separately. This Yao Shishue obviously did not expect that she would be controlled by me, nor did she expect that I would take away her bag of holding. Therefore, the location of the items in the bag of holding contains some hidden information. The blood soul pill that was placed separately contains 80% of its power. As for the rest, they must be fake. In addition, apart from the blood-colored talisman, there are no other treasures in Yao Shishue's bag of holding. The treasures must be inside the bag of holding that contains the divine sense of the blood ancestor. Wang Lin looked at the blood soul pill a few times before putting it into his own bag of holding. As for his fake pill, he took it out and threw it into Yao Shishue's bag of holding. Then, his gaze fell on the compass. The compass was blood-colored, and he did not know what it was made of. When he held it in his hand, he felt a chill in his body. Back then, Yao Shishue used this item to enter this place. This compass should be able to counter the array here. Wang Lin scanned the compass with his divine sense. It contained the divine sense of Yao Shishue. Wang Lin let out a sigh of relief. If the compass also contained the divine sense of the blood ancestor, then Wang Lin would have to find a way to modify the array on the platform and leave this place. There was also a teleportation array in this cave abode. Wang Lin already knew about it after he obtained the crystal token. However, the teleportation array was located in the northeast corner of the cave abode, which was quite a distance from where Wang Lin was. It was too difficult to get there due to the restrictions along the way. Otherwise, things wouldn't have ended up like this. Wang Lin easily erased Yao Shishue's divine sense from the compass, leaving only his own. He immediately discovered that there was a small array inside the compass. As the compass moved, the array was constantly changing and never stopped. Sure enough, there is also a teleportation array inside the compass. I need to modify both arrays at the same time. Otherwise, changing one side won't work. Wang Lin's divine sense entered the array and studied it. Although he couldn't see everything, he was able to find some clues. He spent 3 days making slight changes to the array and then changed the array on the platform. As a result, the array was very different. Although Wang Lin didn't change much about the transfer array on the platform, he did change one of the key points. If anyone other than him were to enter the transfer array, they would immediately be sent back. Going back and forth like this would cause the spatial barrier to shatter, and the person that entered would be sucked in. Entering a spatial crack won't kill you, but I need to add some additional changes. Wang Lin pondered for a bit and then immediately busied himself with the array. It took him 3 days to change the array formation, but it took him 30 days to add countless restrictions on the array formation. Moreover, when he was arranging these restrictions, not only was he not impatient, but he was also quite happy. If someone really teleports here, they will definitely be shocked. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his divine sense entered the compass. He instantly opened the array inside and a flash of blood light surrounded Wang Lin's body. A few breaths later, the blood light and Wang Lin disappeared. There was a flash of blood light on top of the Drum Mountain 500 kilometers away from the Lucky Demon City barrack. Wang Lin appeared. The blinding sunlight entered Wang Lin's eyes. He looked at his surroundings and felt like he was in a different world. The outline of ancient Demon City appeared in the distance. It was as if nothing had changed since he left. Wang Lin took a deep breath and turned into a ray of light that charged toward the barracks. His speed was much faster than when he left, so it didn't take long for him to arrive at the barracks. Just at this moment, a powerful killing intent came from the barracks and locked onto Wang Lin. Chapter 562. Halt! A roar came from the black-armored army camp. This roar was filled with killing intent. At the same time, a ray of black light spread out from the outer wall of the camp, forming a layer of black fog. Inside the camp, tens of thousands of black-armored demon soldiers were standing in an orderly fashion. In front of them was a burly man wearing black armor. He had his hands behind his back as he coldly looked outside the camp. Beside the burly man was Sima Yen. From his expression, it could be seen that he was filled with awe toward the burly man. Aside from Sima Yen, there were 3 other people in black armor. From their clothes, it seemed like they were also commanders. They were standing behind the burly man with the same respectful expressions. Wang Lin's body moved like a meteor and he didn't stop at all. As he closed in on the black fog, he let out a cold snort and the celestial spiritual energy inside his body spread out. At this moment, the black fog suddenly melted and retreated, revealing a path. Wang Lin calmly walked in. The burly man in black armor coldly looked at Wang Lin. He waved his right hand and shouted, "Intruder, kill without mercy!" The 3 commanders behind him didn't say a word. They turned into 3 rays of black light and charged out. Sima Yan immediately recognized Wang Lin. He hesitated for a bit before clenching his teeth and charging out. Among the 4 commanders, 3 of them were at the early stage of soul transformation, and the last one was at the mid-stage of soul transformation. If it was before Wang Lin entered the cave, he would have been able to win against these 4, but it would have been a bit troublesome and would have taken up a lot of time. This was especially true when the 4 of them charged out with demonic spiritual energy. Behind them, their demonic spiritual energy turned into 4 ferocious beasts, adding to their momentum. However, at this moment Wang Lin's cultivation had reached the peak of the late stage of soul transformation. Among the soul transformation cultivators, he was already at the top. As he watched the 4 of them charge at him, his expression didn't change at all. Wang Lin stood there and didn't move at all. He only said these 2 words, "Back down." Although his voice was light, it contained the celestial spiritual energy of a peak late-stage soul transformation cultivator. When this voice fell in the ears of the 4, it was like thunder rumbling in their ears. Among the 4 of them, only the mid-stage soul transformation cultivator's expression changed, and he was able to resist. The other 3 were at the early stage of soul transformation. Because the gap between them was too big, their faces turned pale, and they couldn't help but stop. Although their cultivation levels were at the soul transformation stage, the difference between them and Wang Lin was too great. Wang Lin had already reached the last step of the soul transformation stage. He was standing at the peak. Wang Lin's expression was neutral as he walked forward. Although his steps were slow, they were very firm. As he walked, the commander before him, whose cultivation level was equivalent to a mid-stage soul transformation cultivator, immediately backed up. He didn't dare to block Wang Lin even half a step. As for the other 3, they were even more frightened. Among them, Sima Yan was the most shocked. He didn't even dare to look at Wang Lin. He secretly thought that he was lucky back then. If he had known that Wang Lin had this kind of cultivation level, he wouldn't have provoked him back then. But immediately, his heart trembled. He thought about what had happened to Shi San and Hu Pao. He cried bitterly in his heart and felt extremely regretful. As Wang Lin walked forward, the 10,000 demon soldiers spread out to make a path. They had long since recognized Wang Lin. The scenes from back then immediately appeared in their hearts. The complicated feelings and reverence they had hidden in their hearts toward this mysterious former commander rose once again. Some of these 10,000 demon soldiers were new and hadn't seen Wang Lin before. Although they were confused, after seeing that even their Lord Commander didn't dare to stop Wang Lin, they couldn't help but back off after seeing Wang Lin's majesty. In an instant, a long path appeared in front of Wang Lin. At the end of the path was the burly man in black armor. His eyes were still cold, but a dignified aura was gathering around his body. His eyes were cold, but Wang Lin's eyes were even colder. His entire body was like a block of ice that wouldn't melt for 10,000 years. He walked step by step toward the burly man in black armor. Along the way, the black-armored demon soldiers that were already a few dozen feet away retreated even more. A suffocating feeling filled their hearts. The dignified aura around the burly man in black armor became stronger and stronger. He let out a roar and took a step forward. With this step, his aura immediately rushed out. This aura was invisible, but the surrounding demon soldiers could feel it and couldn't help but retreat. Wang Lin's expression was still as cold as ever. He didn't stop at all as he walked forward step by step. When the burly man in black armor's aura landed on his body, it immediately dissipated and didn't affect him at all. Wang Lin could see through the burly man's cultivation at a glance. This person's demonic spiritual energy was equivalent to the late stage of soul transformation, but it hadn't reached the peak stage yet. Wang Lin's aura condensed like crazy as he walked forward step by step. With each step he took, A large amount of frost appeared on the ground and spread along with Wang Lin. The black-armored burly man was immediately at a disadvantage in terms of aura. A suffocating feeling immediately surged into his heart. He subconsciously wanted to take a step back, but he immediately stopped himself. He knew that if he took a step back, he would completely lose his aura. Under the influence of this aura, the other party would immediately attack. However, if he didn't retreat, the pressure that was getting stronger and stronger would turn into an invisible force that would crazily gather in front of him. He had only felt this kind of pressure when he faced a demon general. In the end, when Wang Lin was only 20 steps away from the burly man in black armor, sweat appeared on his forehead and he shouted, "Commander Wang, what do you want?" "This is my barracks, what do you think I want?" Wang Lin calmly said as he took a step forward. The burly man in black armor immediately felt a powerful aura envelop his body, as if there were countless mountains pressing down on him. He resisted the urge to retreat and shouted, "You have been missing for more than a year and have long been stripped of your position by the demon general." 1 year. So it's only been 1 year. Wang Lin let out a sigh of relief, but his aura became even stronger. "My 2 attendants, where are they?" When Wang Lin entered the barracks, he had spread out his divine sense and didn't find San and Hu Pao. At this moment, he was only a dozen steps away from the burly man in black armor. Waves of powerful pressure rushed towards the burly man in black armor like a wild beast. He wanted to hold on. As a commander, if he was shaken by the aura of a commander, he would definitely lose his position. Even though this commander's cultivation level had already surpassed his, Wang Lin could tell at a glance that the other party was on the verge of resisting. He suddenly sped up and took 7 steps in a row. The burly man in black armor felt Wang Lin's aura increase like crazy in these 7 steps. It was like a mountain rising from the ground. He could no longer resist and involuntarily took a step back. The burly man took a step back and his aura weakened. Under this, Wang Lin's aura increased like crazy and reached an unimaginable peak in an instant. Not good. The burly man's expression changed. At this moment, Wang Lin's eyes became cold. He moved like a bolt of lightning and charged at the burly man in black armor. His cultivation at the peak of the late stage of nascent soul was revealed at this moment. As the burly man retreated, he clenched his fists and punched them together. There was a thunderous rumble that spread out from his body. At the same time, the demonic spiritual energy in his body surged and a black tortoise about 1,000 feet tall appeared behind him. The black tortoise's back was covered in countless spikes, and it had a long tail with even more spikes. When it swung, it seemed like it could break space and create black lines. Wang Lin stepped through the air like lightning and raised his thumb to release the finger of death. After Wang Lin's cultivation reached the peak late stage of soul transformation, the power of the finger of death had increased several-fold. If it wasn't for the fact that the surrounding demon soldiers had already scattered, even their flesh and demonic spiritual energy would have been absorbed. Although the demon soldiers had scattered, some of their demonic spiritual energy was still absorbed by the finger of death. At this moment, waves of demonic spiritual energy rushed into Wang Lin's thumb. There were a few demon soldiers that didn't know Wang Lin and weren't too far away. At this moment, their flesh and blood began to churn and their essence was released from their orifices. Fortunately, their companions saw this and immediately pulled them away, saving them from death. Under Wang Lin's finger of death, the entire barracks fell into darkness. The sound ripples from the burly man's fists immediately collapsed. Wang Lin's thumb didn't stop at all and pressed forward with his body. At this moment, it was as if everything within 50 kilometers had gathered on this finger. As the finger of death descended, the burly man in black armor had the illusion that he was fighting against the heavens. The burly man let out a roar and his body instantly fused with the black tortoise. His eyes revealed a demonic light. At this moment, in the demon spirit land, this was the first time Wang Lin had seen the demonic spiritual energy of the local demons. The moment the burly man fused with the black tortoise seemed to come to life. It let out a roar and its tail shot out toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes became cold and the finger of death collided with the black tortoise's tail. The black tortoise's tail collapsed inch by inch and affected its entire body. The gap between peak soul transformation and late-stage soul transformation was like a ravine that ordinary people couldn't cross, not to mention the fact that Wang Lin's spells were already very powerful. This finger of his was infinitely close to the ascendant stage. The black tortoise's body collapsed and the burly man's black armor shattered. He coughed out a mouthful of blood and retreated a few steps. His body trembled and he knelt down on one knee. Demonic spiritual energy spells have their own advantages. Wang Lin coldly looked at the burly man. If it was a cultivator, even if they didn't die from this finger, their cultivation level would be affected. Although the burly man looked seriously injured, his foundation wasn't damaged. Wang Lin's right hand reached out and Sima Yan's body flew over and was caught. "Where is my follower?" Wang Lin's voice was like the cold winter wind that blew into Sima Yan's ears. "I'm going to have my chrysanthemum burst. If my chrysanthemum is burst, then tomorrow I'll change the 18 plum restriction to the 18 chrysanthemum restriction." You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.